Elsewhere, this is for tropical storm force winds within 24 hours. That's what the warning means. Tropical storm watches mean a little bit later, possibly as far north here as Hatteras and up near Kitty Hawk, down near Wilmington also. So we do have a little bit in terms of tropical storm conditions to deal with as we head further on up the coast on the east coast. So again, the track of Elsa, the center going right around Cedar Key, then across South Georgia and in through the Carolinas and maybe even on off toward the Hampton Roads area as we go through the next couple of days. And still as a tropical storm status, even as it gets to South Carolina. So could get a little interesting. I mean, I'm not talking about widespread damage, but there is the potential for some trees and power lines to come down. Flood watch in effect, Cedar Key, Jacksonville, Brunswick. The watch meaning the potential exists for flooding in and around the watch area. When you go to advisory, when you go to warning, that's when it becomes more eminent. Storm surge watches and warnings here for this onshore push on the east side of the storm, where we may see a water rise and maybe some higher water in some spots of about 2 to 4 feet, maybe 3 to 5 feet in some of these lower areas where the water is a little bit more shallow. Todd?
I would not be surprised. We're starting to see some of that storm surge going on in places like Tampa. That is Earth Cam on your left and Tower Cam on your right from Orlando. Both areas, you can start to really see the rain fall rather heavily there in Tampa. We had a couple of gusts that were upwards of tropical storm force winds. In fact, you can already see the winds. Look at the light there on the far left side of your screen. You can see how the rain is actually coming down more on an angle there. So yeah, the winds are certainly out there. Tropical storm force winds. So some gusts, rather heavy, and a little concerned about some of the heavier bands of rain a little bit farther inland. Look at these storms again from Fort Myers have been hit hard already. Now we have more storms farther inland and around Sarasota, just to the east that and right around the Highway 17 there. And then we have the couple of heavier bands all into the east of Tampa. Looking over toward Apalachicola, the first little bands spreading toward you as well. So again, this is a very vast system. We're not talking just about the center of circulation. Hurricanes, tropical storms, a lot of impacts felt well and beyond the eye. Tornado watch remains in effect until 8 o'clock this morning. Would not be surprised we see additional tornado watches be extended farther to the north and farther to the east as we head through today. In fact, the Torcon Valley just got upgraded just recently to 3 now, because we've already seen 2 tornado warnings early on this morning. And would not be surprised we see a couple of more of these isolated tornadic cells, these little spin-up tornadoes, little quick 10, 15-minute tornadoes that could be around. So from Gainesville to Lake City over just to the western edge of Jacksonville as we head through the rest of today. So high-res future radar for the rest of this morning. It does look like we'll be seeing some type of landfall from Elsa in around Cedar Key or in the Big Bend of Florida. We're talking late morning, possibly as late as early this afternoon as landfall. That's going to be where the center of the eye or the circulation will finally make its way on land. But look at this by 1 o'clock again. This is just a guidance ray, but you can still see the heavy impacts to the east of that center of circulation.
And strong winds from Elsa also battered Key West and Sanibel Island. It's enough there to kind of straighten out the palm trees a little bit, and some heavy rainfall also. So it's a tricky travel for a time. Had some strong winds, 50+ mile per hour at some of the gusts down near Key West, and now all that translating on off toward the north. So a major storm, no, but impacts, yeah, there's been some, and there'll be more. There'll be more as we continue to head through this morning and into the afternoon. Right now, winds gusting in Tampa 24 miles per hour. Key West 15 sustained, gusting in Marathon still to 18 miles an hour. But it's really closer to the center where some of those stronger winds are. And as we go through this morning, you can see that stronger wind core closer to the center may start increasing some of these winds. But almost to 30 in Tampa right now. But the forecast is calling for potentially those winds to increase. This is tropical storm force, 39 miles per hour starts that. And near Cedar Key, as the low gets closer, you can see going to 35, even around Gainesville's 30 miles per hour. And these are gusts, so sustained, we're probably in the 15 to 25 mile per hour range. But as we get some of those gusts, and most likely as that center, that core, the northeast side of the center of Elsa gets closer to Cedar Key, some stronger wind gusts are possible. It's still quite breezy to windy at times in all these cities here, even up near Tallahassee, we could get some wind gusts at 25 miles per hour. So certainly going to be something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on here as we go through this morning. Multiple warnings in effect at this hour in Clearwater, Florida, including a tornado watch and a hurricane warning. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf with the crazy sights and sounds of Elsa.
That's right. It has been a crazy night here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. We've had a lot of wind. At times, we've had intermittent showers that have moved through. But one big issue that we have is the surge that could be experienced not just along the coastlines over on the Gulf side, but also back towards the intercoastal. You have to think about places like Clearwater Beach Marina. A lot of boats there, and with that rising water, it often does flood those spots, and a lot of people who have got some fine craft there are concerned what they may find in the morning. But as darkness continues, we're going to see more of these intermittent showers coming through. Flooding, we mentioned the surge could be an issue, but some locations easily could see 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. But notice, it's not just along the coast that could be affected. When you think about these systems, you've got to think not just about the path they take, but how wide, how far-reaching they can be. So well inland in spots like the I-4 corridor, you can see heavy rainfall, the tree damage, the power outage. But then something else to consider, tornadic activity is not out of the realm of comprehension. Oftentimes with tropical systems, you will have tornadoes that can form. They're often very, very weak. They tend to not last that long, but they can still cause loss of life and a great deal of damage. So folks, please be careful, have that plan in place. Stay with the Weather Channel. And folks, for those of you who may be in other parts of the Gulf Coast, we're talking Alabama, Mississippi, portions of the Florida Panhandle, even into Texas and Louisiana, know that we've got a long hurricane season to go. Have your hurricane preparedness kits ready, because odds are, well, let's just say that you need to be ready for the season, because it could prove to be quite busy. All right, that is the latest we have for you. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Reynolds. Live look at St. Pete Beach, and here you really see the low cloud deck pushing rather quickly. Look at the palm trees left side of the screen there. You can certainly see those gusts. Current wind speed there on the screen, 29 miles an hour. We do have some higher gusts that could reach, look at that, 37. So just shy of tropical storm force wind gusts. That is at 39 miles an hour. So just for the sake of it, yeah, we are going to see some tropical storm force wind gusts out of this. Farther off to the north, already starting to see the outer bands starting to reach really from a latitude from Apalachicola and heading up toward the Jacksonville. So, yeah, we're just at the beginning of a very wet day, a very stormy day ahead for North Florida into southeast Georgia. Let me take you through the rest of the morning. Again, talk about the possible landfall later on this morning, early afternoon in around the Big Bend. So Cedar Key, going to be looking at that. Could see those winds really gusting. And again, watch out for that storm surge threat. We're talking the possibility of maybe 3 upwards of 5 feet of storm surge. That's above normally dry ground before it does end up making landfall. And then, of course, then we got the backside of this where we still have those winds wrapping in around the backside of this. By the time we hit about noon or so, we'll be pushing farther inland, but look at the rainfall amounts. This is potential. Doesn't mean it'll be exactly like this, but widespread areas of 1, 2, possibly 3 inches of rain, and there'll be little pockets even higher than that. So the flash flood threat is certainly out there with Elsa, and that is not just necessarily for the Gulf Coast. We're also looking a little bit farther inland. Daytona Beach already seeing the rain, and as we head through the rest of this morning, Ray, we'll be seeing those embedded thunderstorms, and this could also be an area, Ray, where we could see a couple of those spin-up tornadoes. So Orlando, Villages, do not let your guard down just because it seems to be more of a Gulf thing. We can see some severe storms here as we head through the rest of the morning.
Yeah, that's all going to translate to the north and east. Places like Virginia Beach, no advisories yet. That may happen later this morning. Myrtle Beach, yes, you are under, I think we're in tropical storm warning there or a watch. Either way, for Elsa will continue to increase as we head on through the morning hours and through the daytime hours and eventually into Thursday, maybe even Friday in parts of the Northeast and New England. Why? Well, because the cone of uncertainty or the forecast track of Elsa, the center anyway, does take it through places like Raleigh and the eastern Carolinas for some of these winds that may gust here this morning. Maybe greater than 25 miles per hour, so kind of breezy to windy at times as the center tries to make it on shore. This is around midday or right around Cedar Key or pretty close to it, and those winds start to pick up right around the center of circulation is where the strongest winds may be. But as you notice, they weaken a bit as it comes on shore, and as we go through early Thursday, 25, maybe 30 plus mile per hour wind gusts from Charleston to Savannah down toward Brunswick, and severe storms also a threat. Greatest threat, Lake City, Gainesville, Jacksonville. Outside of that, Brunswick, Savannah, and Charleston, strong storms could include some tornadoes. And then as we go further into the future, by Friday morning, close to Atlantic City as a tropical storm nonetheless, and then moving on off into the Canadian Maritimes as we go through Friday evening. So still just off the coast of Maine by Friday evening as a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So still a few days to go here. Talk about Elsa and some of its impacts as a tropical storm. The wind gust forecast here around Myrtle Beach through Wednesday night. 25, 35 miles per hour. Even up near Norfolk, you could exceed 30 miles an hour. So it does look like an opportunity for some stronger winds, although none of these winds are forecast to be in excess of tropical storm force. But still, sustained winds 35. If you get the occasional gust higher, it's certainly possible. Just not going to be too widespread. But there's a 40-mile-an-hour gust out near Hatteras as you get some of those stronger winds coming in with less friction off the water with that wind coming out of the southwest. So severe storms also further north around the Hampton Roads area, Norfolk, or even around Kitty Hawk and Cape Hatteras, Morehead City, down toward Myrtle Beach, and even Charleston. It does look like, Todd, we may see some severe weather come in. So it certainly looks like more active weather expected on the east side rather than the west side of Elsa.
And of course, what that means is that, well, many areas the east side could be dealing with that inland flooding threat. That's why we're going to be talking about the possibility of, well, seeing some high water on the ground. Now, we always talk about this, the turnaround, don't drown, and yet we still have people doing it all the time. Do not drive through any water-covered roadways. You do not know how deep that water is. It only takes really 6 inches of water, and that could definitely knock a person down 2 feet. Could end up floating a car. Do not drive in and around any barricades of closed roads. That barricade is there for a reason, telling you do not past this, that the officials already have seen that what's on the other side of that barricade is something you do not want to be going in. Never walk, bike, play, do anything in terms of flood waters, even if it looks still. You don't know what's in that water, and you don't know what threats can be in there as well. Evacuate according to what the officials say. Obviously, if there's flooding trapping you, that's where 911 certainly does come in. Flash flooding through the rest of not only today, we're talking Thursday morning, extending all the way up the I-95 corridor from Georgia through the Carolinas as well. And we still have the possibility of rain widespread areas, 1-2 inches. We could see little pockets of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall and even upwards of 3 to 5 inches of rain. That's where that flash flood threat certainly does come in for places like Florida and northern Florida into Georgia and the Carolinas. And even farther off to north, we're talking tomorrow into your Friday morning. There's a possibility, Ray, a flash flooding does extend through a good part of North Carolina. Look at that, all the way up to the mid-Atlantic as well.
It's not going to be easy in places like Savannah. Not going to have an easy time of it. We're not talking about a strong tropical storm or a hurricane, but we'll have a threat for the severe weather. We'll have a threat for flooding, and with that heavy rainfall, slow travel too, so you do have to travel. I might want to wait it out as we show you some of the timing here for what we are going to be expecting from Elsa in and around southeast Georgia and kind of up the coast here into parts of South Carolina. So the future radar is showing us you're okay this morning. So as you get into the early morning hours, if you're heading on out to work, you're doing okay. And then around midday, maybe you want to start thinking about, well, I'm going to need a few extra hours or a few extra minutes anyway, as the hours into the afternoon is when we start seeing these rounds of rain and thunderstorms coming through. Kind of see them moving southwest to northeast, basically in that general direction. Hilton Head by overnight into Thursday morning. Charleston starting to see some of that heavier rain coming in. And then by Thursday morning, we're back into a completely different show. We do 180 Savannah, Hinesville, Statesboro, and Hilton Head, where most of the rain is actually done as a low continues to push on off toward the north and northeast. So as we get into Thursday, improvements. So Wednesday's kind of the day, especially the afternoon and early at night, where we pick up most of these 1 to 2 inch rain totals. And we always go with the locally higher also. Locally higher rainfall totals, and it's probably going to come quick, and that's when we may see some of that flash flood threatening. Now we go further north into Raleigh and the Triangle here and the Triad. Rain starting to come in on Thursday morning, out further toward the east. As you make that trip out toward the Outer Banks, it does look like we may see some of that heavier rain and some of those stronger winds come in. Well, just a reminder, you can watch the Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa at streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire.
Smile. Oh, there you are. Did you know that Coffee Mate is triple churned and 2 times richer than milk for one perfect cup of coffee? Coffee Mate truly is man's best friend. I didn't mean like you.
Coffee Mate. Coffee's perfect mate.
Ray loves vacations, but his diabetes never seemed to take one. Everything felt like a no. Everything. But then Ray went from no to no. With Freestyle Libre 14-Day, now he knows his glucose levels when he needs to and when he wants to. So Ray can be Ray. Take the mystery out of your glucose levels and lower your A1C. Now you know. Try it for free. Visit freestylelibre.us.
Here's Candace, who works from home and then works from home. But she can handle pickup even when her bladder makes a little drop off. Because Candace has poise. Poise under pressure and poise in her pants. It takes poise.
Summer's scorching heat. It gets worse every year. But for the animals forced to live in these conditions, it can be deadly. Animals who've been left outside in excruciating temperatures, with no access to water or food, and little protection from the sweltering sun. They're running out of time, and that's why we're out there right now, racing to reach the animals who are trying to hold on for one more day.
We're just seeing dogs that are very dehydrated, no water in any of these water containers. It's heartbreaking.
Please help save them by going online or calling this number with your gift of just $19 a month. Your support today means rescuing more animals who are suffering in the unbearable heat this summer. We urgently need 2,000 new donors in the next 30 days. So for taking action in the next 10 minutes, we'll send you this free membership kit with this one-of-a-kind Animal Champion t-shirt. Time is running out, and many of these animals who are suffering this summer may not make it. Please don't let them suffer another day. Go online or call right now.
Daryl's family uses Gain Flings now, so their laundry smells more amazing than ever.
Isn't that the dog's towel?
Hey, me towel, Zoo towel. More Gain Scent plus Oxy Boost and Febreze in every Gain Fling.
Attention former childhood patients of Dr. Reginald Archibald, endocrinologist at Rockefeller University Hospital for decades. One of the most prolific serial child sexual predators in history, hundreds of patients have come forward stating that the doctor sexually assaulted them. In 2018, the hospital released a report admitting that Dr. Archibald did in fact sexually abuse his patients at their hospital. If you were a former patient of Dr. Archibald and were subjected to sexual misconduct, you may be entitled to substantial compensation.
800-861-0651.
New York State's economic recovery depends on the recovery of our small businesses. If you own a business with under 100 employees and less than $500,000 in revenue that has suffered financially due to the COVID-19 pandemic, New York State is helping by creating an $800 million Small Business Recovery Fund. For more information and to learn how to apply, go to nysbusinessrecovery.ny.gov. We're New York tough, so let's reimagine, rebuild, and renew New York together.
This is J Country. Our goal is to find that $1 million boulder. I will dig till my hands bleed.
Tubes of J! Cha-ching!
You never know what you're gonna find.
That's so sketchy, dude.
It takes a different kind of a person to want to do this.
Anything can shut you down.
Heaviest one yet. It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Jade makes people do crazy things.
Hey, check this out. New video just into the Weather Channel. Elsa has, well, the ocean churning under the John Ringling Causeway in Sarasota. This was shot really just a short time ago, 1:30 by the Sarasota Police Department. And again, we're talking about a tropical storm, right? And look at those waves. I mean, that is still a lot of energy. That is a lot of power behind those waves. A bit of some white caps on top of that as well. That is why, even when we're talking about tropical storms and Category 1 hurricanes, the power of water can cause a lot of damage. So we're not done with this threat yet, as the storm surge will continue to be a bigger issue here as we head through the rest of the morning hours. Here's the latest numbers under Tropical Storm Elsa. 70-mile-an-hour winds around the center circulation. We still have the wind, the forward motion, north at 14 miles an hour. It will eventually take a northeast jog later on today. And at least a current location, this is as the 2 o'clock advisory, 60 miles to the west of Tampa, Florida. The next full advisory does come out at 5 o'clock, and they'll have new numbers and new trajectories of this. But as we look ahead, it does look like we're going to be seeing landfall from Elsa sometime late this morning, maybe as late as early this afternoon, and around the Cedar Key in the Big Bend of Florida. Then we'll continue to be more of that northeast jog through southeast Georgia. And notice again, it still stays as a tropical storm really through the rest of today. By this time tomorrow, and we'll be down possibly either as a weak tropical storm, maybe in a tropical depression, but still holding on to some impacts to coastal parts of the United States, really up through the rest of this work week. Look at that, even as far north as Maine, we could be seeing some impacts of this as well. Now, short term, we're talking about the flood watch widespread, basically from in around Naples all the way up into a good part of south of Georgia, Rays. So it's going to be really a multi-tiered thing. Heavy rainfall, isolated tornadoes, as well as the possibility of storm surge the rest of this morning.
And those impacts may be felt as far east as Orlando, Florida. Right now, kind of a muggy 79 degrees. And right now, rain's on your doorstep and even severe weather. Flood watch, tornado watch, new rainfall amounts, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch possible. On average, that doesn't mean some may not get more, but the impacts here, even well away from the center, could be things that people may not expect. There's the area in here, the villages, and just northwest of Orlando, that's been kind of a population explosion over the past, I'd say, few years anyway, and a lot of people coming in from areas that haven't experienced tropical storms. And in this case, you've got to be aware of what's coming at you right now. These outer bands will quickly produce not only heavy rainfall and strong winds, but we get these quick spin-ups, these quick tornado warnings. We've had a couple already this morning, and you will briefly get strong winds, 50, 60 miles per hour. They usually verify as EF0s or EF1s in tropical systems, but we're starting to see now even a stronger band working now and heading toward Orlando and the villages, and maybe even places here to Daytona Beach. And you're under a watch, and a tornado watch means that the threat for tornadoes in and around the watch area until 8 o'clock this morning. We'll probably watch that walk right on up North Florida and eventually the coastal areas of the southeast, because this is what we are looking at all through this morning. You see the radar, the future radars trying to pick up on some of these stronger to severe storms. Even around 7 o'clock from Gainesville and just east of Tampa and Melbourne and Orlando, all these areas are under a threat for severe storms, including tornadoes. Very common with landfalling tropical systems. The center goes close to Cedar Key by about 10 a.m. And look at the core winds here in and around the center. That's most likely where, if we do get those stronger winds, 40, 50 miles per hour or stronger, that may be where it is, Todd, where we get right in here around the core in the center of where Elsa is going to make landfall. But still, far-reaching impacts. We've got to remember that although we've got a tropical storm, we still have heavy rainfall, severe weather, and some of that severe weather could include tornadoes.
And as we take a look at, well, what happened early on Tuesday, this is from Naples, Florida. So folks in northern parts of Florida, Georgia, Carolinas, this is what's to come. Heavy rainfall that could lead to some rise in the water, as well as, as Ray was talking about, possibility for severe storms. Isolated tornadoes certainly there as well. And as we continue through this morning, and of course, we've already seen a couple of tornado warnings pop up early on this morning. Water spouts could also be an issue as well, but this is going to be mainly an inland thing. So tornado watch remains in effect for a good part of Florida, at least through the rest of this morning. So here are the winds right now. Tampa still looking at more more of a southeast wind, gusts upwards of 23 miles an hour, even as places far east as Melbourne. Looking at gusts upwards of 21 miles an hour. So right now, those winds continue to be piling up. Some of the storm surge really over to the western edge of Tampa Bay, and we're looking at gusts in Sarasota now 35 miles an hour, just shy of tropical storm force wind gusts. But I would not be surprised. We have a couple of gusts that do reach tropical storm force strength. As we head later on this morning, again, look at some of these wind speeds. Still the possibility of 20, 30 mile an hour, and then over towards Cedar Key, we can see the higher wind gusts as Elsa will eventually make its way landfall late this morning, early afternoon, and then we're still looking at widespread 20, 30 mile an hour wind gusts out there as well. So stay with Weather Channel for continuing coverage as we track Elsa. Live reports and expert analysis you won't get anywhere else all day long.
Verizon launched the first 5G network, and now we want to be the first to give everyone the joy of 5G by giving every customer a new 5G phone on us. Old customers, new customers, families, businesses, in-laws, law firms. Every customer, new 5G phones when you trade in your old ones.
And if you're not a customer, we'll help cover the cost to switch. Just ask Wanda. She's been with us since now.
Upgrade your phone, upgrade your network.
There's an America we build and one we discover. One that's been tamed and one that's forever wild. But freedom means you don't have to choose just one adventure. You get both. Introducing the wildly civilized, all-new, 3-row Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
It's my 310, no exit in sight, migraine medicine. It's Ubrelvy for any time, anywhere migraine strikes without worrying if it's too late or where I am. One dose can quickly stop my migraine in its tracks within 2 hours.
Unlike older medicines, Ubrelvy is a pill that directly blocks CGRP protein, believed to be a cause of migraine. Do not take with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Most common side effects were nausea and tiredness.
Ask about Ubrelvy, the anytime, anywhere migraine medicine.
Ladies, check it out. So strong, so not ripped.
What are we talking about?
That's the Hefty Ultra Strong bag.
Hefty, hefty, hefty.
Give me the bag.
Get Hefty Ultra Strong at a low price.
Garden fresh salad, drizzled with our signature Italian dressing. Or 4 homemade soups to choose from. Plus, fresh out of the oven breadsticks. Our famous never-ending first course is so good, you might just forget you still have more to look forward to. Enjoy never-ending super salad and breadsticks. On us before every meal. Only at Olive Garden. We're all family here.
At Chewy, we know walks are made better with our furry friends, and we're here to make those walks easy. From tasty treats on the go to toys that keep them moving. Get everything they need, even prescriptions, delivered right to your door. Get fast, free 1 to 2 day shipping. Visit Chewy.com today.
At Chewy, you can shop America's #1 pet pharmacy anytime, anywhere. It's so simple, you can order on a walk, at the beach, even over breakfast. And with fast, free delivery, there's more time for the good stuff. Shop America's #1 pet pharmacy. Visit Chewy.com today.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Meiomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions for a taste like no other. Meiomi, flavor forward.
Oh my God! Evacuate immediately!
And thank you for joining us here on special live coverage of Tropical Storm Elsa. I'm meteorologist Todd Borick.
And I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic. Elsa making its approach to the west coast of Florida. Going to be a few hours yet, but still strong tropical storm as we'll see impacts and already starting to feel impacts even inland and even as far east as maybe Orlando here shortly. As squally weather continued from Elsa, complicated the search efforts in Surfside, where we had the building collapse about a week or so ago. Strong winds and lightning strikes forced crews to stop for 2 hours on Tuesday. They do have a meteorologist actually embedded within the workers on the pilot to provide weather updates to make sure crews stay safe. And, we're into that time of year. Let's put Elsa aside, but climatology, it's basically every day there's a chance of thunderstorms in South Florida. A lot of times they come during the morning hours, too. Get a little interaction between the slightly cooler landmass and little bump from some of that warmer ocean temperatures. And, we do get rain and thunderstorms, and it is that time of year. So certainly good stuff to do there. Now, Elsa continues to move north at 14 miles per hour, a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So just below hurricane status. Location is just about 60 miles west of Tampa now as of the last advisory. Next full advisory coming up here and just within the next, within 2 hours now at 5 a.m. Just before 5 a.m. we'll have that for you. And really looks kind of ragged on radar. The presentation, not all that great, but you can kind of see that core, the center now starting to move and show up on radar. But this is where the greatest impacts are, and this to an extent, and maybe even that. These are all areas of thunderstorms, and within that we could have tornado warnings, and they're going to happen quickly too. So if you are in these areas just west of Orlando near the Villages and on I-75 and the east side of Tampa, be alert. Hopefully you've got a way to get your alerts. You'll have to take action quickly. Heavy rain, thunderstorms, even down near Fort Myers. Some of these potentially rotating here as we go through this morning. Thus, the Storm Prediction Center does have a tornado watch. In effect, that tornado watch means the potential for tornadoes in and around this watch area until 8 o'clock this morning. Further north as we go through the day, this is most likely where we'll get the next watch. Lake City up near Jacksonville, 30% chance of a tornado here in places like Lake City and Gainesville, 3 in 10 chance, and then 20% in these areas in orange. So the chances for tornadoes on our exclusive Torcon index here, certainly not low, or certainly not high, but they're certainly not zero, as we've already had a couple of warnings here this morning. Todd?
And let's take a live look at Naples right now, tower cam, and you can still see, well, the Gulf churning, even though we end up looking at Elsa a little bit farther off to the north. We're still dealing with widespread effects farther away from the center circulation. This is what happens with tropical storms and hurricanes. It's not just about where the circulation is. The center circulation always very widespread impacts farther away from that center circulation. As we take a look at a couple of bands of the heavier showers and storms a little bit farther inland, DeSoto, Hardee County, over into parts of far western Polk County, seeing the showers and storms already had a couple of spin-up tornadoes that Ray was talking about over the last couple of hours, so I would not be surprised we have a few more that end up popping up as we head through the remainder of this morning and the afternoon. Again, the heaviest rainfall a little bit farther inland. The rain maybe not as heavy for Tampa, St. Pete, but we still got to deal with the winds and we still got to deal with the storm surge. That continues because, well, we're still dealing with the center of Elsa that is still offshore. The latest advisory had it 60 miles to the west of Tampa, but that was a 2 o'clock advisory, so it will be a little bit farther off to the north. But what we're seeing now, again, through the 4 or 5 o'clock hour, notice now we have that storm surge issue where we're starting to see those winds piling up inside the bay. So even though the showers and storms will be a little bit more scattered and a little bit on again, off again for Tampa, St. Pete, we still got to deal with this side of it. And here we are later on this morning, again, farther inland, we could see these little pockets of storms that could still brew up and still bring the threat for severe storms even by the 8, 9 o'clock hour. Here we are heading toward noon, and well, again, we're still not quite done. You have the showers and storms. And just a reminder too, well, we had some of those heavier storms that still could be bringing that tornado threat our way. So here's what we know right now about Elsa. U.S. Coast Guard is searching during the morning hours here on this Wednesday. 9 people still missing in the waters off of Key West. They're able to rescue 3 people. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has already issued a state of emergency ahead of Elsa, as will be inching your way. And Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay is expected to open at noon today after closing early yesterday due to safety concerns from Elsa. Classes at the University of Florida in Gainesville are canceled today. Just a reminder, you can watch Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Naomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions for a taste like no other. Naomi, flavor forward.
Welcome to Allstate. You already pay for car insurance. Why not take your home along for the ride? Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands. Click or call to bundle today.
Asking what would Pop-Tarts do is how you get from toast and jam to that's my jam. From Sunday to Sunday. So, like, what would Pop-Tarts do here? Yeah, that feels right. Crazy good.
JC tried Game Flings for the first time the other day and forgot where she was. You can always spot a first-time Game Flings user.
DiGiorno has 7 delicious crusts, and your family food critics will rave. Croissant crust is flaky layers of buttery bliss. Rising crust is fresh baked deliciousness. There's a 5-star pizza for everyone in your family to love. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
These days, we're all together all the time. Working, playing, cleaning. Turns out family life can be, well, gross. But Care.com can help with lots of great housekeepers to put your messy place back together again when it's right for you. It costs less than you think. And a clean house feels so good. Get the housekeeping help you need. Care.com.
Looked bigger online. Someday, we'll find the right trip.
Seize your someday today with Travelocity.
Get the right information so you can book confidently.
Travelocity. Seize your someday.
Make more summer fun for less at Target.
Live it up, live it up.
It's like a pancake.
Okay, don't roll it too thin. This is a perfect thickness.
Is that a tattoo?
Uh-huh. Look, isn't it cute?
Yeah. Is that real?
It is very real.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
I love it. Can I have one?
No.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
The video calling device designed to bring people closer. Share something real. Portal from Facebook.
If Mother Nature gives you a warning sign, get ready for something big.
Elsa moving across some of the streets here in Key West. Yeah, look at that. Water covering the roadways here. With some of the flooding, isolated thunderstorms are going to be possible. Primary thunderstorm hazard will be lightning strikes and locally gusty winds. Governor DeSantis did comment briefly on Elsa yesterday.
Any place north of Tampa Bay has gotten a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks, and so this would be an event where we would see flash flooding anyways, but I think it's going to be exacerbated by how saturated northern Florida is. And then I think, as you guys have pointed out, we do see the risk of tornadoes being spun off from this thing. It's a very lopsided storm. Just because that eye is in the Gulf of Mexico, that does not mean that there can be impacts very far inland, particularly if there are tornadoes.
Great point. Great point made by the governor right there. And already seeing some of those stronger bands come in. Had a couple of warnings earlier. And, any of these, this is a real impressive looking band of rain and thunderstorms right now. Within that could have the potential to be severe, maybe even tornadic. Latest as of 2 a.m. on Elsa, 70 mile per hour tropical storm now, downgrading this advisory from a hurricane. Moving north at 14, about 60 miles to the west of Tampa right now. But this is really of more concern away from the center, which looks like it's about there. These thunderstorms now producing not only vivid lightning, but a heavy rainfall threat. And some of these storms may actually have rotation in them. So I wouldn't be surprised if around Fort Myers we see some rotation or some stronger wind gusts. And further north here, any time within this cluster, I guess we could call it that, and this one up here near Lakeland, we may have a spin up. So stay on your guard. You're going to really have to be alert as we go through the next few hours as this strong band kind of rotates toward the north and northeast, just west of Orlando now, but you're probably going to get it at one point or another near Orlando. That's why we've got tornado watch in effect. This is an area where if we get those spin ups, they're going to happen pretty quickly, so you're not going to have much time to take action. Cross City now, get ready to see some of these stronger storms come in. Ocala, little thunder and lightning there. Gainesville, we did have a little thunder and lightning coming through right now for you also, and that's why we've got this tornado watch in effect. Very common for landfalling tropical systems, Todd, on the east side of the circulation. So nothing uncommon here, but we want people to be alert. Tropical storm, but nonetheless, still some significant impacts.
And it shows how with these storms and hurricanes, it's always a very vast amount of space that we're talking about. It's not just in and around where the eye is. Many areas farther inland will be impacted by this. So when you look at the forecast fan here and the cone, and they'll end up passing the center of Elsa, most likely be right in the center there, but obviously can waver either side of this. But remember, the impacts, at least as far as Elsa is concerned, well off to the east. So just because places like Jacksonville, Orlando, Daytona Beach not in the cone doesn't mean you won't be feeling the impact. Same type of thing for St. Simon's Island in Georgia up toward Hilton Head. And as we look ahead in the future, look, this is still going to be impactful for a good part of the Carolinas, even up toward New England. We can see some impacts by Friday. So widespread tropical storm warnings in effect farther inland. That does include all of coastal Georgia up through coastal South Carolina. Tropical storm watches extending into North Carolina, which will most likely turn into warnings as we move into later today, more so near Thursday. Widespread rain amounts 1 to 2 inches, but still a bit of areas 2-3 inches, maybe upwards of 5 with the heaviest cluster of storms. So of course, when there's a lot of rain in a short amount of time, flash flooding, it's a possibility. If it happens in your neighborhood, you should know how to stay safe. Meteorologist Alex Wilson has some advice.
When a flash flood warning is issued, here's what you should do in order to keep yourself safe. Have a plan in place. If conditions are worsening, gather your supplies, family, and pets, and leave the area before the flooding occurs. Being proactive can ensure your safety. Whether it's still or flowing water, do not walk, swim, or drive through the floodwaters. Turn around, don't drown. Water is extremely powerful. 6 inches can knock you off your feet. Just a foot of water is enough to float your car and sweep it away. If possible, stay off of bridges that span fast-moving water. Water can rise very quickly and wash bridges away without warning. If you get trapped in your car in a rapid torrent of water, stay in the vehicle until help arrives. If your car is filling up with water, move to the roof of the vehicle and signal for help. If you get trapped in a building that's being inundated with water, move to the highest level. Avoid closed attics or rooms without an exit, and only go to the roof if it's absolutely necessary. Follow these instructions to make sure you stay safe.
And staying safe is what we're here for, and continuing coverage here at the Weather Channel until further notice, as we'll continue to monitor where the heaviest rain and the greatest threats are going to be. And some of those threats are going to start moving northeast here as we head on through Thursday morning. Wilmington and Myrtle Beach in North and South Carolina, respectively, are two areas that are going to get heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. I'm not sure we'll get to tropical storm force, but we have to watch out as the future radar shows what some of these thunderstorm cells that may be strong, potentially severe, and there will be a risk of tornadoes in this area too. Not a great risk, but it's not zero. As we get into 7 o'clock Thursday, that threat lessens, but further north as we get into the nighttime hours on Thursday, the rain will start spreading in. Even west here into eastern Maryland, some heavier rainfall. Salisbury, Ocean City, and Rehoboth Beach, all areas that may see some heavier rain as we head on through the daytime hours on Thursday into Thursday night and early Friday morning. Then pulls away and we watch Elsa continue to accelerate on off toward the north and northeast. Rainfall forecast here, Ocean City and even around Chincoteague and Accomack, about an inch or two. Now, there'll probably be some locally higher totals, so there might be some heavy rain in some spots, but we get a general broad overlook here of what we could expect in terms of rain. And 3 to 5 inches in some locally embedded areas here. And this looks like it's going to be a general area of about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So rainmakers, some gusty winds for some, but certainly Elsa will have other impacts, including that threat for seeing some severe weather as we head on through the coming days. Well, just a reminder, you can watch the Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire.
I order my groceries online now.
Shingles doesn't care.
I keep my social distance.
Shingles doesn't care.
I stay within my family bubble.
Shingles doesn't care. Because if you've had chickenpox, you're already carrying the virus that causes shingles. In fact, about 1 in 3 people will develop shingles, and the risk only increases as you age. So what can protect you against shingles? Shingrix protects. Now you can protect yourself from shingles with a vaccine proven to be over 90% effective. Shingrix is a vaccine used to prevent shingles in adults 50 years and older. Shingrix does not protect everyone and is not for those with severe allergic reactions to its ingredients or to a previous dose. An increased risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome was observed after vaccination with Shingrix. The most common side effects are pain, redness and swelling at the injection site, muscle pain, tiredness, headache, shivering, fever, and upset stomach. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about protecting yourself with Shingrix. Shingles doesn't care, but we do.
Your mission. Stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq, a once-daily pill, can dramatically improve symptoms. Rinvoq helps tame pain, stiffness, swelling, and for some, Rinvoq can even significantly reduce RA fatigue. That's Rinvoq relief. With RA, your overactive immune system attacks your joints. Rinvoq regulates it to help stop the attack.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious infections and blood clots, sometimes fatal, have occurred, as have certain cancers, including lymphoma, and tears in the stomach or intestines, and changes in lab results. Your doctor should monitor your blood work. Tell your doctor about any infections, and if you are or may become pregnant while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
Do you use Viagra or Cialis? Have you been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? What if we could promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for Viagra, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call us right now and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for Viagra. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in an unmarked package.
Call us right now, 800-340-9947, 800-340-9947. That's 800-340-9947.
Even as the world opens back up, some social distancing is still highly recommended. Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
And once again, we have new video just in the Weather Channel. Elsa continues to lash the Florida Keys. We're looking at Cedar Key, Florida, and that's what it looked like. Heavy downpours, tropical nature, strong winds hammering Cedar Key. Key West picking up a record 3.67 inches of rain yesterday from Elsa. So deal with all the winds, and there'll still be some impacts for at least parts of South Florida for today by way of wind, and we still have some embedded thunderstorms that are still out there as well. So yeah, when you're still looking at the center of Elsa, now just barely to the north of west of Tampa, but again, you can still see farther down the south and around Fort Myers, those embedded thunderstorms are still out there, and we still run the risk for some flash flooding as well as some brief isolated tornadoes from this. So most of the major impacts are well inland from where Elsa is, mainly to the east of where that circulation is. So storm surge warnings really extend all the way from Bonita Beach all the way up and past really the Big Bend because we have a very shallow continental shelf here. So if you every time you walk out to the beaches on the Gulf side of Florida, you notice that you could walk out relatively far, and that is really not a good thing when it comes down to tropical systems like this, because that allows a lot of the water to be pushed up on the shore. So widespread storm surge warnings continue. We're looking at the possibility of maybe 2 to 4 foot storm surge, maybe as high as 3 to 5 feet. So that's above normally dry ground, so the potential is certainly there. And notice that we still have the storm surge potential now on the Atlantic side for all of the Georgia and for the bulk of the South Carolina beaches, Ray. So this is not just a Florida thing. We're starting to look a little bit farther ahead where storm surge could be an issue as we see the onshore flow come on the Atlantic side of this.
Yeah, we'll continue to see not only that, but also the heavy rain threat and the severe weather all slowly start to move northeast, and then a little quicker as we watch Elsa get into the far northern latitudes. As it does so, most likely will accelerate. Heads up Orlando and Leesburg, stronger storms and heavier rainfall starting to come in. Looks like this band is trying to make some progress on off toward the east end, and most likely will. Remember, Orlando, you are under a tornado watch and a flash flood watch, meaning the potential is there, and the guidance is suggesting that also. Look at these stronger storms. These are the ones that we'll have to keep our eyes on to potentially become tornadic and maybe produce some brief, weak spin-ups, but still, there'll be spin-ups nonetheless. Through the daytime hours in the midday, early afternoon on Wednesday, still around the villages and back toward Orlando, the scattered shower thunderstorm threat will continue. So not quite out of the woods here, right through midday, and a general area here coming in around 2 to 3 inches of rain. Thus the flash flood watches in effect. Orlando about an inch or 2, but let's just remember this is on average. What the average will be anywhere between 1 to 2 inches, maybe up to 3 or 4, some less. Conversely, some may get more. Forecast winds through this morning, 25 to 30 miles per hour. As we watch the center go to the west here, we'll see some of those winds pick up, possibly gusting through midday to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So not the strongest of winds we could see for a landfalling tropical storm, but nonetheless quite breezy to windy at times here out across north central Florida, including the villages, Orlando, and Daytona Beach right on through this evening, Todd.
And with that, we've been talking about the potential for tornadoes, and here's another one. Tornado warning just popped up. You can see, again, for many areas a little bit farther inland. So once again, we have another bit of a spin up there. That is Hardee County in Florida. You can see cities impacted, Bowling Green and Zolfo Springs. That is until 4:15. You can see, anytime you see, actually not one, but actually 2 little couplets there. When we're talking about couplets, you're talking about those areas where the reds and greens are very close together. So we're talking right here, and actually another little couplet possibly right here. So indicative of these tropical systems, tropical storms, you'll have these little spin-ups that come out of this. So I would not be surprised we have actually 1, but maybe 2 possibilities of that rotation. Now this is radar indicated, meaning that, well, we're seeing the spin without there's a tornado on the ground, remains to be seen, but this is time to take cover immediately. You can see some of the cities will be impacted there. Bowling Green by 4:15 and Fort Meade by 4:34 as these radar indicated tornado warned storms will continue to move off to the north. In addition, the entire region here, all across Hardee County, are still dealing with some very heavy rain, and don't let your guard down into Polk County because, well, these storms are headed your way. Whether or not they even stay as tornadoes, you still have a lot of heavy rainfall ahead. So looking ahead, as far as the forecast fan goes, the center of Elsa will be anywhere within this fan looking to make landfall. What looks to be a little bit more into early early this afternoon. Looks to be a better bet late morning, early afternoon in around the Big Bend of Florida, and then we'll continue to drift slowly off to northeast and then churn through Georgia. But as we've seen really with Elsa this entire time of its existence, the main impacts from Elsa are mainly to the east. So even though you're outside of the center of circulation, outside of the cone here from Jacksonville over toward Charleston, all of coastal Georgia, so we're talking Tybee Island, St. Simons, Jekyll Island, main impacts could be felt your way, and we've already seen a couple of these tornadic storms pop up, so the possibility is certainly there. We're looking farther ahead. Here's Savannah, Georgia, into the coastal Carolina, South Carolina. Some lines of showers and storms certainly would be coming our way, and that's something we really have to pay attention to as well. So stay with the Weather Channel for continuing coverage as we track Elsa. Live reports and expert analysis you won't get anywhere else all day long.
Return to rugged. The all-new, ruggedly redesigned 2022 Nissan Pathfinder.
We drove up a really long driveway to a property that was hidden from the road. It was so hot. It was overwhelming to see how many animals there were, as well as the conditions they were in. Puppies tied up to chains. It was 100 degrees and there was nothing for them to drink. It was terrible.
This summer, thousands of loving animals are suffering in the sweltering heat. Many of these animals have been left for dead, and we need your help to rescue them.
They were skin and bones. They had no food, no water, with no help in sight.
Go online or call right now with your $19 monthly gift. Many of these animals are almost out of time.
You know that there's so many others out there, and you think, had we gotten here 1 week earlier, could we have saved more animals?
We need 2,000 new donors in the next 30 days so that we can reach more animals who need our help this summer. Visit joinaspca.org on any device or call this number now. Sign up for only 63 cents a day, and we'll send you this free membership kit with our member magazine, the photo of a rescued animal, and this limited edition Animal Champion t-shirt.
To see it up close and know that that's how people treat animals is heartbreaking.
They're fighting to survive, and many may not make it. They urgently need your help. So please, go online or call right now.
And Doug.
So then I said to him, you ought to customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so you only pay for what you need.
Doug, can we talk about something other than work? It's the weekend.
Yeah. Hot dog or chicken?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Well, thank you for joining us for continuous coverage of the special live event, Tropical Storm Elsa. I'm meteorologist Todd Borick.
And I'm meteorologist Ray Stagecan. Elsa continues to make its approach toward the west coast of Florida. The center going north now of Tampa, but certainly impacts in the Tampa-St. Pete area and areas inland, getting close now to Orlando, as some of these spots have already seen heavy rainfall, have a couple of tornado warnings. Got one active one now, but some areas like St. Pete and Treasure Island and Key West and Sanibel Island, as you can see here in our 4 boxes, feeling impacts yesterday. Gusty winds, tropical storm force winds, and heavy rainfall there at St. Pete. Visibility down at times to I can't see a thing. So very slow travel, water-covered roadways in Key West, and it looks like more now heading to the north and eventually the northeast, and maybe hitting just about every city in some way on the I-95 corridor. At least some limited impacts. Some may see a little bit more. Current stats, 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm right now. That's what Elsa is. Next advisory from the Hurricane Center coming up here in just under an hour. Moving north at 14 miles an hour. Center now, as of the 2 o'clock advisory, 60 miles west of Tampa, Florida. But now, as you can see, is moving north. It's moved a little bit further north than that. And doesn't look the greatest, at least around the center, in terms of the satellite presentation. However, as you go inland here, you can kind of see now this explosion of thunderstorms, and that's where we've seen some of the most severe weather. Hurricane warnings do stay in place, however. Cedar Key to Crystal River, Hudson, Clearwater, and Tampa. We'll see if the Hurricane Center does change those advisories with the 5 a.m. advisory, and then tropical storm warnings come on up here the coast of Georgia and South Carolina, even into North Carolina now, especially for the coastal areas. Tropical storm watches in effect, meaning within 36 hours you may see tropical storm conditions, as the center of Elsa goes right up the center of the cone. Could actually fluctuate on either side of that, but still as a tropical storm. Thursday morning near Charleston. Raleigh, it'll still be a tropical storm as it heads towards your area. And heavy rain is going to be one of the bigger threats from this. A heavy rainmaker, so that's some flood watches are in effect from Brunswick to Jacksonville and as far south as Fort Myers. Storm surge watches and warnings here for water rise as the center continues to spin and push water up into the coast here. And with that kind of shallower water, kind of a little bit easier, for lack of a better term, to get a water rise of 2 to 4 feet in these areas in yellow, maybe even 3 to 5 feet in some of the worst case scenarios here out across parts of the west coast. If you are in yellow, certainly expecting at least some water rise there, and then it translates a little further on up the coast and on into coastal Carolinas. Todd?
Well, we have a live look. Tampa on your left, Orlando on your right, and all you got to do is look at the trees in Tampa, and then got a couple of gusts here and there. Now, as far as the rain, last time we had to look at the Earth Cam in Tampa, we did have the rain coming in more of an angle, a bit of a break as far as the heavy rainfall. Orlando, we'll be seeing about the heavy rainfall throughout the course of your morning hours, as a lot of this activity from Elsa is a little bit farther inland. Now, Ray was talking about the center of Elsa. Now, the latest advisory was at the 2 o'clock advisory. We have a new one that the National Hurricane Center, a full advisory coming our way at 5 o'clock. But you can actually pick up the center of circulation right about here. So it's no longer just due west of Tampa. Now it has more of a north and west jog to it. And like we've seen with tornado warnings popping up with tropical systems, we often see these little spin-ups here, and this is over to Hardee County. The latest tornado warning storm that's out, still in effect for another couple of minutes, 4:15, so we have about another 13 minutes or so. Cities of Bowling Green and Sulphur Springs going to be impacted by this. And also looking at, again, here's really the main couplet there. There's a little tinier one here, but I think it's going to be the secondary one right here. We're talking about a couplet. We're talking about when the radar beam is looking into a storm itself. We're looking at the greens and reds. So the greens going toward the radar sites, the reds are going away from it. And right in the middle there, you're going to have that little spin. So it's been radar indicated. And we're going to see a couple more of these as we head through the mornings. They already had a couple early on today. I expect a couple more of these brief weak spin up tornadoes are certainly there, but certainly do not let your guard down over into Hardee County and also into Polk County, western Polk County, as we see that line of heavier storms moving your direction. Tornado watches still remain in effect for a good part of the Florida inland counties until 8 o'clock this morning. But I would not be surprised, Ray, that we'll see maybe another tornado watch. It could pop up farther to the north as we had later on this morning. Something got to watch. But yeah, the tornado threat is certainly going to be there, along with the heavy wind and as well as the storm surge.
It will be in some of the areas that have already experienced the strong winds. Key West, Florida, Sanibel Island, Florida. Pretty soon the state of Florida will be out of it, in other states like Georgia and North and South Carolina. We'll get into it, but As you can see here, we're not really bending trees all that much, but bending nonetheless. Tropical storm force winds with Elsa continue to push away now at the Keys, now getting into north central Florida, and that's where we are going to continue to see what looks to be tropical storm impact. So Elsa having its impact, and it will continue to do so with what we've got right now. That's strong winds gusting over 28 miles an hour there at Tampa. If it just kind of briefly blew by that, and gusts now to 35 miles per hour near Sarasota. So the winds starting to pick up just a bit, but forecasting 30 to 35 miles per hour with the strongest gusts here in some of these cities, Jacksonville and Gainesville and Cedar Key. So officially not getting to tropical storm force. That doesn't mean that's not going to happen. If we do, it'll be right around as we get close to landfall here near the Cedar Key area, but still quite breezy to windy at times through 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon and into the nighttime hours. You can notice as the center low pressure goes basically in this direction, that's where the wind speeds pick up, especially on the east side where traditionally some of those stronger winds are. Now the arrival of tropical storm force winds for Savannah's 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Here for Jacksonville is about 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. And kind of see a narrowing of those winds as the storm weakens a little bit under tropical storm strength. That's most likely what's happening here, but further north again, if you can kind of catch that up to the top of the screen, maybe strengthening once again to a tropical storm or getting a stronger tropical storm. Thus, the wind field should pick up just a little bit. Multiple warnings in effect at this hour in Clearwater, Florida, including a tornado watch and a hurricane warning. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf and the crazy sights and sounds of Elsa.
That's right. It has been a crazy night here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. We've had a lot of wind. At times, we've had intermittent showers that have moved through. But one big issue that we have is the surge that could be experienced not just along the coastlines over on the Gulf side, but also back towards the intercoastal. You have to think of places like Clearwater Beach Marina. A lot of boats there, and with that rising water, it often does flood those spots, and a lot of people who have got some fine craft there are concerned what they may find in the morning. But as darkness continues, we're going to see more of these intermittent showers coming through. Flooding, we mentioned the surge could be an issue, but some locations easily could see 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. But notice, it's not just along the coast that could be affected. When you think about these systems, you've got to think not just about the path they take, but how wide, how far-reaching they can be. So well inland in spots like the I-4 corridor, you can see heavy rainfall, the tree damage, the power outage. But then something else to consider, tornadic activity is not out of the realm of comprehension. Oftentimes with tropical systems, you will have tornadoes that can form. They're often very, very weak. They tend to not last that long, but they can still cause loss of life and a great deal of damage. So folks, please be careful, have that plan in place. Stay with the Weather Channel. And folks, for those of you who may be in other parts of the Gulf Coast, we're talking Alabama, Mississippi, portions of the Florida Panhandle, even into Texas and Louisiana, know that we've got a long hurricane season to go. Have your hurricane preparedness kits ready, because odds are, well, let's just say that you need to be ready for the season, because it could prove to be quite busy. All right, that is the latest we have for you. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
And right away, we have another tornado warning. Reynolds just talking about it, and well, we're seeing it again as we have not one but now 2 active tornado warnings on your screen. Already talked about the one in Hardee County that's still in effect for at least another 8 minutes, but now we have one in Marion County just to the north of Ocala. And again, this is going to be something we are going to see for a good part of this morning. You can see that cell right here. So cities of McIntosh and Reddick could be impacted by this. And again, notice how quick this is. Tornado warning in effect until 4:30 as we'll continue to race off to the north. The key here, it is radar indicated. We keep seeing these little spin ups. We keep seeing the radar sights here. We're going to velocity mode here, and there is a good look what really spawned that tornado warning just to the south of Reddick. So yeah, take precaution, take cover immediately. Even though we have these brief spin up tornadoes, we're still talking about the potential for some damage. So it's just to the east of the I-75 corridor. You can really pick up. And again, when you talk about the radar beam sites, a lot of times some of these sites, since we're far enough away from the radar sites here, we're looking a little bit higher up into the storm itself, but you can still pick out that couplet there. So we're talking about the greens and the reds. So right in the middle there is that circulation. That is why that tornado warning storm has been issued. So again, that is for Marion County until 4:30. And yeah, Gainesville, even if this cell, whether or not it remains with rotation or not, that cell is heading in your direction in Gainesville. So So at least we're talking about the possibility of at least some heavy rain, some gusty winds out of this. And we're going to have to keep an eye on the potential of that more tornado warnings out here, Ray. So this is something we've seen so far this morning. I do expect more as the morning and really afternoon goes on from Florida, then into parts of Georgia and the Carolinas.
Yeah, Todd, and it's going to continue to see the effects go up the coast, meaning South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Jersey, New York, and et cetera, Virginia Beach, Myrtle Beach. As we're looking at right now, dark 30, so still not quite sunrise. Got a little bit to go for that, but already the rich tropical moisture and that feel to the air mass is already with us, and tropical storm conditions possible in some of these areas as the center of Elsa forecast to go down the center of the cone. 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm Thursday morning, but as it gets near Raleigh, probably a weakening storm before maybe it gets back out over open water further north here and strengthens just a little bit once again. So we'll have to be on our guard. These are the forecast wind gusts in southeast Georgia around Waycross by 5 o'clock this morning. 25 miles per hour is the highest peak, and as the low gets a little closer to Lake City here early in the afternoon on Wednesday, some 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and we'll see those 30 to 35-mile-per-hour gusts go further on off toward the northeast as we get into Wednesday night. So Savannah, Charleston, certainly suggesting you take the lawn furniture in and kind of button up the loose items, maybe the garbage cans. Severe weather will be a threat. Lake City, Jacksonville, greatest chance, even Gainesville today of severe storms, including tornadoes. If you're in that kind of orange shade of red, you still have a chance of seeing some severe weather. And then as we go through the rest of the week, Thursday evening, Friday morning, Friday evening, still not away from the east coast of the U.S. and still maybe even a tropical storm. So tropical storm conditions possible. The low the center passes this direction. If that verifies, we could be looking at some minor coastal flooding, beach erosion, and it certainly looks like something, Todd, where we might be looking at impacts from a tropical storm that may be limited, but for eastern New England, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, again, it just shows how widespread these storms can be. So we're not just talking about where landfall is going to be, but it's very vast, very widespread. So let me show you as far as the rainfall. Look at the flash flood threat. Again, mainly to the east of the center of circulation. So even though we're looking at the possibility of landfall taking somewhat of a path like that, not exactly like that, but again, notice how the heaviest rain will be to the east of where the circulation will be. So likely flash flooding at least through tomorrow morning for really from Jacksonville all through coastal Georgia and through far southern coastal parts of South Carolina. So not going to be done yet with the flood threat. Widespread areas in a general 1 to 2 inch range, but we have pockets of 2 to 3 inch rainfall amounts, maybe even as high as 5 with some of these embedded thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain in a short period of time. Now, looking a little bit farther ahead, we're talking tomorrow into really early Friday, where there's possibility flash flooding extends for a good part of North Carolina, really in and around the I-95 corridor off to the east, and then also extends, Ray, into the mid-Atlantic states. So this is going to be a multi-day event, even though it hasn't even made landfall over Florida just yet.
Yeah, landfall just means just that. Doesn't mean that we aren't going to have impacts after that. And get ready in Savannah. This is one spot that Elsa will threaten with some heavier rain, potentially some flooding, and potentially some severe weather. I mean, if that low and the center goes to your east, you'll most likely have a better severe weather chance than if it goes to your west, which is possible. You may have less of a threat, but nonetheless, impacts will start as we go through today and into the evening hours. Here's some of those heavier showers and thunderstorms trying to get into Savannah and Hilton Head, especially as we go through a late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, and then translating on off toward the north around Charleston. This is 4 a.m. Thursday morning. Look at the heavy rain and thunderstorms. And again, within these kind of clusters or these bands, there may be severe storms that could be rotating or could be tornadic. By early Thursday, then midday Thursday, most of it's done. So it's a quick shot. And it does look like you get out of it here, out across parts of coastal Georgia and South Carolina with 1 to 2 inches of rain. Now, if this comes in a short period of time, as that future radar suggested, we could have some flash flooding, but in general, 1 to 2 inches of rain shouldn't cause widespread problems. But again, it does look like we may have some. Now we get into Raleigh, Greensboro, Chapel Hill, and Durham. These are all areas that Thursday morning you'll start feeling impacts as the center low may go basically in that direction, give or take. It's in general where the hurricane center has it, but still, as you can see, Fayetteville, Raleigh, through midday Thursday. Heavy rainfall coming in. Greensboro, you most likely escape the heaviest of the rain for the triad, but further east, that's where the best chance of the heavier rain is going to be, and especially out near the coast, some of the stronger winds will be. Rainfall for you, generally 1 to 2 inches. This is where we expect to see probably enough rainfall that the ground can handle, and maybe not a huge severe weather or flash flood threat, but still there may be some ponding of the water on the roadways in and around these areas. Now further north, future radar as we get into Norfolk and Richmond and southeastern Virginia through early Thursday morning. Not much yet going on, but as we go through Thursday and Thursday night, that's when we'll start to see some of the heavier rainfall come on in, with 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in these areas, with the potential for maybe some minor flooding.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles everywhere.
But where can we use them?
You can use them on any travel purchase, not just some travel purchases.
The Venture gets a gold star.
What's in your wallet?
The best part of stepping into the spotlight isn't the awards or the acclaim. The best part of stepping into the spotlight is helping others step into theirs.
We were gonna stuff Reese's cups with feathers, and then we were like, wait a minute, pretzels. Yeah, pretzels would be way better. Reese's, now stuffed with pretzels.
Smile.
Liza Miller, will you marry me?
Oh my God. Did she say yes? Are they engaged?
I'm impressed that Chaz was so romantic.
Something like that. I want you in my life.
I want you in mine too. I've had to bend a lot to be with you.
I know endings, and it doesn't seem like that's where we are at the end.
Do you think we can pull this off?
What do we have to lose?
Younger, the final season, premieres tonight at 10 on TV Land.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Martin. When a hailstorm hit, he needed his insurance to get it done right away. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
Hi, Verizon launched the first 5G network, and now we want to be the first to give everyone the joy of 5G by giving every customer a new 5G phone on us. Old customers, new customers, families, businesses, in-laws, law firms. Every customer, new 5G phones when you trade in your old ones. And if you're not a customer, we'll help cover the cost to switch. Just ask Wanda. She's been with us since now. Upgrade your phone, upgrade your network.
Flowers are fighters. That's why the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's is full of them. Because flowers find a way to break through, just like we will. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
Looked bigger online. Someday, we'll find the right trip.
Seize your someday today with Travelocity.
Get the right information so you can book confidently.
Travelocity. Seize your someday.
Jade makes people do crazy things.
It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Are you looking for a new career with real growth potential? Spectrum is hiring. Whether you're looking to help customers, share knowledge, make connections, or enjoy uncapped earning potential, we have a role for you. So if you're ready to start a career with a company that offers comprehensive benefits, 401k, and complimentary services, visit jobs.spectrum.com today.
Why do I do it? Because I love the challenge? God, no. I do it for the beer.
Had enough? No. Arthritis. Here, new Aspercream arthritis. Huh. Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods.
Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspercream.
It seemed like a normal day.
I looked up at the sky and I seen the darkness coming.
I got an alert on my phone, and then all hell broke loose.
It was complete chaos.
There's no way you can outrun it.
If Mother Nature gives you a warning sign, get ready for something big.
I've never seen anything like that.
I had no idea what had just happened.
You just hang on for dear life and hope for the best.
We have new video coming in for the Weather Channel. Listen to that. You can hear the wind, you can hear the rain. So far, 2 to 5 inches of rain from Elsa in Venice, Florida. That's between Fort Myers, Sarasota, Southside town. Has seen the most rain, and well, we've had some strong gusts too, tropical storm force gusts, over 40 miles an hour. And this could be something we're going to be seeing a bit of as far as the heavy rainfall and as far as the tornado threat. In fact, we're already seeing a lot of those tornadoes popping up there and across part of the Florida Peninsula. Here's the latest look. Tropical Storm Elsa, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Waiting for the newer update to come our way. We have the official 5 p.m. Or 5 a.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. That'll be coming in really probably just before the top of the hour, but the latest numbers still moving north at 14 miles an hour. The center of circulation is now a little bit farther north of west of Tampa. When the new numbers do come out, we'll be seeing what kind of impacts it'll have. But it still looks like we'll be seeing landfall late this morning. More so, it's going to be early this afternoon and around the Big Bend, Florida here. Then it'll take more of that northeast push into Georgia and the Carolinas. Remember, though, this is a very lopsided storm as far as the impact. So even though the center of circulation will be somewhere around the cone here, it's going to be areas farther off to the east that we're going to be seeing the impacts. And some of these impacts, of course, being the heavy rainfall and also those embedded thunderstorms that could bring some tornadoes our way. We've had a very active morning thus far with tornadoes, and that looks to continue through the rest of the day. And look at how Elsa will be talked about tomorrow, even into your Friday, where we have possibility of seeing the mid-Atlantic states being impacted, maybe even southern New England race. So this is not just a one-day thing, but it has been a very active morning thus far with those tornado warnings.
Thanks, Todd. And yes, breaking now, we do have some more active warnings now. Now, the warnings mean that Doppler's indicated that there is rotation within these thunderstorms. So 2 warnings right now, one near Leesburg. This one is Doppler indicated once again, and Lake County, Libsyn, Silver Lake, and Tavares until 4:45. General rotation within this thunderstorm right in there as it continues to move on off toward the north and northwest. And these storms have been moving at about 40 miles per hour, so there's not going to be much time to react here. If you are downstream or where these storms are going, certainly going to want to take cover now. A little further north, just northwest of Ocala, this is another tornado warning for Alachua and Marion counties, McIntosh, McCanopy, and Reddick. That's until 4:30. Once again, radar indicating rotation within this thunderstorm. So dangerous storms now as we get on the east side of the circulation, producing tornado warnings here this morning. And they'll happen quickly, just like they've had all morning. We'll have to keep an eye on this area thunderstorms and that band that could also start producing some active tornado warnings and or severe thunderstorm warnings. Very common with landfalling tropical systems, especially on the east side, which is exactly where this is and exactly where this tornado watch is. It does include Orlando, Daytona Beach, Sebring, and Fort Myers, and just on the northwest side here of Lake Okeechobee. So be prepared. Know where you're going to go, know what your actions are going to have to be if you do get warned on. And remember, the storms are moving quickly, too, so you will not have much time to react. And through 5 o'clock this morning, the model doing a pretty good job picking up on at least that there are going to be severe storms. We're not going to say it's going to be exactly placed there. The model's not exact. But as the center continues to get closer to Cedar Key, you can even see near that area we get some stronger storms coming with some of the strongest winds. And then Gainesville up toward Jacksonville, you'll start seeing some of those outer bands and start to see some of those stronger storms with the potential for severe weather move toward you as we head on through Wednesday morning and into the afternoon into southeast Georgia and into the Carolinas. That's where we'll start to see some of that heavier rainfall come on in. So, Todd, looks like things working out, I guess we should say, as they should, and not that we'd like for them to work out that way, but we are seeing some severe weather and heavy rainfall on the east side of this storm.
And that's what we've been talking about all day as far as the threat. And for those waiting for the impacts of Elsa to come your way, it could very well look like this. Heavy rainfall could lead to some water rising, whether or not it's inland flooding or whether or not it's storm surge. We still have the possibility there. This is from a Tuesday in Naples, Florida. And we always talk about that turnaround, don't drown. I know that may not have looked like a big water rise there, but any amount of water, it doesn't take much. Only 6 inches of water to knock a person down, and really upwards of foot and a half could end up floating a car. So certainly be careful out there. We have multiple warnings out, whether or not they are tornado warnings or tropical storm warnings out. So as far as the wind field right now, we're looking at gusts in Tampa, 24-mile-an-hour gusts there, 22-mile-an-hour gusts still all the way down in Marathon over the Keys. So it is a very widespread impact, not just around the center circulation here. And let me take you through right now, Sarasota, 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So we're looking at just shy of tropical storm force wind gusts there. For the rest of the morning hours, we're going to continue to watch the higher gusts push toward Big Bend and also spread a little bit farther inland. Gainesville could see gusts upwards of 25, 30 miles an hour. That is outside of the possibility of those embedded thunderstorms certainly coming our way. And then wind gust forecast will then push into southern Georgia as well. Stay with Weather Channel for continuing coverage as we track Elsa, live reports and expert analysis you won't get anywhere else all day long.
There are never-ending ways to describe our signature classics at Olive Garden. Creamy, melty, mouth-watering. But you know them simply as your favorites. Enjoy at our place or yours. Only at Olive Garden. We're all family here.
Age is just a number. And mine's unlisted.
Try Boost High Protein with 20 grams of protein for muscle health versus 16 grams in Ensure High Protein. Boost High Protein also has key nutrients for immune support. Boost High Protein.
When you really need to sleep, you reach for the really good stuff. New ZQL Ultra helps you sleep better and longer when you need it most. It's non-habit forming and powered by the makers of NyQuil. New ZQL Ultra, when you really, really need to sleep.
Oh, just one.
Jake from State Farm, it's the least I can do. You really did me a solid with that, Maya markdown on my insurance.
Here's the deal, Maya. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Right.
No, really, there are no markdowns, just great rates.
Pull her home back in 20 minutes. I'll hook you up with the good parts.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I am living with CLL, and I am living longer, thanks to Imbruvica.
Imbruvica is a prescription medicine for adults with CLL or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. It will not work for everyone. Imbruvica is the #1 prescribed oral therapy for CLL, and it's proven to help people live longer. Imbruvica is not chemotherapy. Imbruvica can cause serious side effects, which may lead to death. Bleeding problems are common and may increase with blood thinners. Serious infections with symptoms like fevers, chills, weakness, or confusion, and severe decrease in blood counts can happen. Heart rhythm problems and heart failure may occur, especially in people with increased risk of heart disease, infection, or past heart rhythm problems. New or worsening high blood pressure, new cancers, and tumor lysis that can result in kidney failure, irregular heartbeat, and seizure can occur. Diarrhea commonly occurs. Drink plenty of fluids. Tell your doctor if you have signs of bleeding, infection, heart problems, persistent diarrhea, or any other side effects.
I am living with CLL and living proof that Imbruvica is right for me.
Ask your doctor if it's right for you.
More protection, more sun, more joy. Neutrogena Beach Defense. The sun care brand used most by dermatologists and their families. Neutrogena, for people with skin.
That's a joke.
Do not repeat that to anyone, right?
You're gonna fight.
Do not repeat that to anyone.
The video calling device designed to bring people closer. Share something real. Portal from Facebook.
This is J Country. Our goal is to find that $1 million boulder. I will dig till my hands bleed.
That's so sketchy, dude.
Anything can shut you down.
It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Well, thank you for joining us of what has been an active morning thus far. Coverage of Tropical Storm Elsa. I'm meteorologist Todd Borick.
And I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic, and Elsa starting to make its impact now further north up into central and north Florida with severe weather, heavy rainfall, plenty of thunder and lightning, and later this morning, most likely landfall the center somewhere around the Cedar Key area. At least that's the way it looks right now. We're doing an update from the Hurricane Center most likely within the next 30 minutes. And if they're going to make any changes, extend watches further on up the East Coast, make changes to the cone, we may see some at that time. We've already had some squally weather from Elsa, and that's complicated the search and rescue efforts in Surfside that are still going on. Strong winds and lightning strikes forced the crews to stop for 2 hours on Tuesday. Meteorologists actually embedded within the workers on the pile. They're going to provide weather updates to make sure the crews stay safe. So impacts from Elsa, at least on Tuesday, with some gusty winds and heavy rainfall. But last week they had very heavy rainfall. MIA actually had record rain for, I think, Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and that's been hampering the cleanup efforts and the recovery efforts. And now they'll go back to climatology, which basically means there's a chance of rain every afternoon in South Florida. So right now we're continuing to watch where Elsa is. It's a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm just to the west of Tampa, 60 miles west as of the 2 a.m. advisory. Now it's moving north, so it's moved roughly, 2 hours since then. It's moved 28, a little over 30 miles since then. So we'll continue to watch now that movement, and kind of seen it fall apart here, at least in where the thunderstorms have been, but a little flare up there over the last couple of pictures. But really the problems have been not widespread, but there have still been problems out across the interior of Central Florida, west of Winter Springs and Orlando for now. But look at this rain starting to head toward Orlando. It's been around Leesburg where we've had a tornado warning. Nothing confirmed, but Doppler radar indicating this fast-moving guy. Look how quickly these storms are moving. Moved already out of the warning for Lake County near the Lipson area. Radar indicated. So very broad rotation here. If anything, that probably be allowed to expire. But this is what's been going on. This is what typically happens with landfalling tropical systems. You get these quick spin-ups. They last a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and then they go away. Tornado warning also now in effect. This one is for areas just northwest of Reddick and McCanopy. This is a tornado warning that actually is producing some stronger storms in and around the areas further north near Alachua and Marion counties for McIntosh and McCanopy. This is radar indicated until 5 o'clock. So rotation indicated within that thunderstorm. Again, probably looking at this area in here, very kind of weak, what we call a coupler, weak red and green kind of touching together. But you have all this to go yet. And all that precipitation and rain and the darker red showing where we may have more active severe weather and more warnings. I'd imagine we are going to get more warnings. I don't want to guarantee it because I say there are no guarantees in this business, but very dangerous early morning here now. Some of these storms are probably going to get into Orlando, and some of those storms will be tornadic. That's why the Weather Service or the National Storm Prediction Center has put out this tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning. Todd.
And take a live look in Naples. Now, we're still looking at the Gulf still churning over Naples. Currently 81 degrees. You can see some lightning strikes out in the background there. So even though the center of Elsa well off to your north and west, we still have impacts, very vast, very widespread away from that center. So this is going to be something we're going to have to be dealing with for a good part of the morning, and then into the afternoon it'll be spreading farther off to the north and east. So again, this is more of an inland thing, and this is something we've seen from Elsa really since its existence, is the bulk, the impacts have been far to the east of where the center is, and you can see from areas from Hardee County all the way up into Polk County. This is where the heavier storms are, right along Highway 17. And this is an area we can still see a couple of spin-up tornadoes. The possibility is certainly there, even though, well, the center of circulation, you can actually see where Tampa here, it's right about here as far as over to the areas to the north and west of Tampa. So here's what we know right now about Elsa. U.S. Coast Guard is still searching for 9 people missing in the waters off about 20 miles south of Key West. They're able to rescue 3 people. Farther north, the Georgia Governor Brian Kemp issued a state of emergency for 92 counties. That's all ahead of Elsa. Tampa International Airport is tentatively planning to resume operations 10 o'clock this morning after damage assessment wraps up. And Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, is expected to open at noon today after closing early yesterday due to safety concerns. Just a reminder, you can watch Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire.
garden fresh salad, or 4 homemade soups, plus warm breadsticks. Our famous never-ending first course is so good, you'll forget you still have more to look forward to. Enjoy never-ending super salad and breadsticks on us, only at Olive Garden.
Don't you just love the look on the kids' faces?
Yeah, that look of pure terror.
No, the smile.
And that second right before the first tear comes.
What?
Pizza on a bagel. We can all agree with that.
Do you want a hug?
Don't settle. Start your day with Secret. Secret stops odor-causing sweat 3 times more, and the Pro Vitamin B5 formula is gentle on skin. With Secret, outlast anything. No sweat. Secret.
Straight, no sweat.
Looked bigger online. Someday, we'll find the right trip.
Seize your someday today with Travelocity.
Get the right information so you can book confidently.
Travelocity. Seize your someday.
We've got you taken care of, Sergeant Houston.
Thank you. That was fast.
One call to USAA got her a tow, her claim paid, and even her grandpa's dog tags back. Get a quote.
This shot is our shot. The COVID-19 vaccines are ready, and so is Walgreens, with pharmacists who know you. So when you're ready, they'll be ready to give it to you safely for free. This is our shot at bringing our communities back together, providing healing, not just for some, but for all. This is our shot. This is our shot. This is our shot.
Parents have a way of imagining the worst, especially when your easily distracted teenager has the car. At Subaru, we're taking on distracted driving with sensors that alert you when your eyes are off the road. The Subaru Forester. The safest Forester ever.
Okay, at AT&T, everyone gets our best deals on all smartphones. Let me break it down. You got your new customers, they get our best deals. You got your existing customers, they also get our best deals. Everyone gets the deals. Questions?
Got it. But why did you use a permanent marker?
Because I want to make sure you remember. I'm going to get a new whiteboard.
It's not complicated. Only AT&T gives everyone our best deals on every smartphone, like the Samsung Galaxy S21 5G for free.
We're changing our look. We're changing to make a difference for a more inclusive future. But one thing we're keeping the same is our great rice. We're Ben's Original.
Even as the world opens back up, some social distancing is still highly recommended. Get into the out there, the Weather Channel.
New advisory for Tropical Storm Elsa due out here shortly, but this is what it looked like on Tuesday in Key West here in the Gulf Coast. Flooded streets. Today, isolated thunderstorms will be possible throughout the period. The primary hazards going to be lightning strikes and locally gusty winds. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis commented on the storm yesterday.
Any place north of Tampa Bay has gotten a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks. And so this would be an event where we would see flash flooding anyways. But I think it's going to be exacerbated by how saturated northern Florida is. And then I think, as you guys have pointed out, we do see the risk of tornadoes being spun off from this thing. It's a very lopsided storm. Just because that eye is in the Gulf of Mexico, that does not mean that there can be impacts very far inland, particularly if there are tornadoes.
That's a great point, and a great point to jump into what we've got now, and that's active tornado warnings. Now, if you're not familiar with this part of the world, and landfalling tropical systems, very common, especially on the east side here in central Florida. So just north of Ocala and just south of Ocala, kind of getting the squeeze play right now with these 2 tornado warnings. This one looks a little interesting, as we do have 2 cells here in Marion County. Radar indicated, though, take a look at these 2 cells right now. Do look like they a little bit of rotation indicated by Doppler radar. This one further on off toward the north now, coming into this area here. Looks like it may have some rotation also down toward the south. Marion County and Alachua County for McIntosh and McCanopy until 5 o'clock. Once again, these are radar indicated. So far, that's what we've had this morning, but we have had multiple warnings. Storm Prediction Center keeps the tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock this morning. So these bands will continue to come through and we'll get exactly what we've been seeing this morning already. And that's these spin-ups. They'll last a few minutes. They'll die down, but still dangerous nonetheless, although they may only verify, if they do verify, as weak EF0s or EF1s. That's enough to cause damage. Elsa, 70-mile-per-hour storm as of right now. 60 miles west of Tampa as of the 2 a.m. advisory, but probably within the next few minutes, we are going to get a new advisory from the Hurricane Center, Todd. So we'll see what happens with that advisory. They may make changes. They may extend some of these watches further on up the coast, maybe into Virginia Beach now. But at this point, we'll be waiting for that full update from the National Hurricane Center.
Yeah, all really attention is on the short term, which
Right.
is all these tornado warnings that continue to pop up. And that's going to continue to be the case for a good part of the morning hours as well. So, yeah, for the most part, we're looking at, well, the Tropical Storm Elsa, where we are now and where the track's going to go. And this track's also going to be shifted a little bit, maybe a little tweak here and there with the next advisory that'll be coming our way at the top of the hour. But for now, still looks to make landfall somewhere around the Big Bend, Florida, sometime early this afternoon. By the time we hit later on this evening, we'll be entering into southeast Georgia. And then by tomorrow morning at this time, pushing through the Carolinas. Remember, though, a lot of the impacts are to the east of where the center of circulation is. And we're not just talking about the southeast. Impacts for the mid-Atlantic states to New England could happen through the rest of this work week as well. So we have widespread tropical storm warnings extending farther inland, as far inland as the I-75 corridor, a good part of northeast Florida in this. Look at all of coastal Georgia and coastal South Carolina, right along the I-95 corridor on either side of that, and even the tropical storm will watch. And for a good part of coastal North Carolina, that's within 36 hours from now. As far as the rainfall to come, we could see widespread 1 to 2 inch rainfall amounts, maybe higher amounts with those embedded thunderstorms. Let's check in with meteorologist Reynolds Wolf, who's down in Clearwater, Florida, tracking Elsa right now.
Well, there certainly is an ebb and a flow to what we've been experiencing here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. At times, we'll have a band of shower activity that will come through the wind. It also has an ebb and a flow. And in speaking of traffic, right now, pretty much non-existent. Now, you'll notice in one direction, you don't see much of anything. However, Matt Saber's the man behind the camera. We go down this direction, and you'll see some of the first responders out there. What they're doing is patrolling the streets and trying to keep people safe, and also trying to keep people, well, remind them to use some common sense out there. People are urged to please shelter in place. Do not go out and about and explore your communities. Wait till the storm passes, and then feel free. But just be smart. By the way, if you do get out and about and get yourself in a bad bind, guess what? You have to have the first responders risk their lives to try to help you. So just be smart, be cognizant. All right, folks, that is the latest we have for you. Again, stormy night, no doubt, and the worst may be yet to come for so many people. Be safe and be smart. Let's send it back to you.
And some of the worst that's yet to come is South Carolina coast, Georgia coast, even on up the East Coast, where we may see more impacts in terms of severe weather. Let's time it out here with future radar by 7 o'clock on Thursday morning. Myrtle Beach, you'll start to get down the action. Wilmington also. These are areas that may experience not only heavy rainfall, but occasionally maybe some near tropical storm force winds as the center, looks like it's located right over here, passes to your west. Thursday afternoon, Greenville, New Bern, Hatteras into the Outer Banks. Probably going to see some sound side flooding from Pamlico Bay. Also, we'll have to watch the roadways there. And as we get into Thursday evening, most of the thunder showers taper off. So further north up the road, does look like near Ocean City and Rehoboth Beach. We are looking at rain to come in on Thursday night, and some of that rain may be heavy at times. And as we get into Friday morning, we'll start to see that rain taper off maybe by sunrise. Most of these areas getting out of most of that heavier rainfall. So certainly some impacts here as the rainfall totals could be about an inch or so. There might be some locally higher totals, so we don't think flooding is going to be a huge threat right now, but it certainly is not going to be zero. And the rain still to come through the southeastern U.S. through Thursday. Looks like a couple of inches, but there are some areas closer to the center where it makes landfall where there may be 3 to 5 inches of rain. So the feeling and what I think from this is that the better chance for flood will be here. It does lessen as we get in this direction, but I certainly can't say that it's not zero because some of these bands may quickly produce heavy rain and thunderstorms. Now, just a reminder, you can watch the Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire.
Frisky's World. Look at that!
It's made with real farm-raised chicken.
I gotta get my paws on that.
It's Frisky's Farm Favorites.
The winning formula.
Feed their fantasy.
Friskies. Look, Frisky's Ocean Favorites. Yum!
Daryl's family uses Gain Flings now, so their laundry smells more amazing than ever.
Isn't that the dog's towel?
Hey, me towel, Zoo towel. More Gain scent plus Oxy Boost and Febreze in every Gain Fling.
I've travelled all over the country talking about saving with Geico. But that's the important bit, isn't it? Showing up, saying, hello, fancy a nice chat. And then we talk like two old friends about sticky buns and all the savings you could get by bundling your home and car insurance. But here's the real secret. Eye contact. Do you feel that? We just had a moment. Who'd have thought it?
Geico. Save even more when you bundle home and car insurance.
Smile. Lactate is 100% real milk, just without the lactose, so you can enjoy it even if you're sensitive to dairy. So anyone who says Lactate isn't real milk is also saying Mabel here isn't a real cow. And she really hates that.
There are never-ending ways to describe our signature classics at Olive Garden. Creamy, melty, mouth-watering. But you know them simply as your favorites. Enjoy at our place or yours. Only at Olive Garden. We're all family here.
Planning a move takes a lot. Spectrum makes it easier by helping you stay connected and in control. With just a call, we can transfer your services and have them up and running before you're even unpacked. You can even select self-install options to fit your schedule best. With step-by-step instructions, it's easy to do. Then download the My Spectrum app to manage your installation and account from your mobile phone. It's your move. We're here to help. Visit spectrum.net/easymove.
No matter where we live, we all have our local spot with our favorite table. Go back to your local restaurant and Stella Artois will help cover your first chalice. Visit stellaartois.com/first chalice back to learn more.
Taco night is heartburn you can plan for, but surprise pizza means heartburn you didn't expect. New Zantac 360 Degrees contains the #1 doctor-recommended medicine approved to both prevent and relieve heartburn and works in as little as 15 minutes. New Zantac 360.
Evacuate immediately.
And here's what it looked like Cedar Key, Florida. We're seeing the tropical rains and those winds really lashing down. And that's what it looked like early on. We're going to be seeing more impressive rainfall totals for a good part of Florida. A place like Key West yesterday picked up a record 3.67 inches of rain from Elsa. And will not be surprised, we have some pockets of 3 to 5 inches of rain from Elsa as we head through your Wednesday, and that could even push into your Thursday and Friday, a little bit farther up the East Coast as well. So the bigger perspective here is, well, just waiting for the new update to come from the National Hurricane Center. So we'll see some of these numbers change a bit. This is from the 2 o'clock advisory, but still looking at Tropical Storm Elsa moving northward at 14 miles an hour. Center circulation, the winds around that 70 miles an hour for now. Just waiting for the newer numbers to come out. That could easily have changed. But the bigger thing for this morning has been really the tornado warnings. We've seen a whole mess of them early on today, and there continues to see these pop up little spin up tornado warnings here in Marion County. Radar indicated tornado warnings. Really have 2 of these cells here for Marion County. That's until 5 o'clock. So concerned about at least that radar indicated cell. Also here for a tornado warning still in effect until 5 o'clock a.m. As well. So from Marion County will continue to work its way up to areas a little bit farther off to the north. I'm a little concerned that we're going to continue to see more of these tornado warnings pop up throughout the course of the morning hours. For now, tornado watch in effect for a good inland part of Florida, Ray, until 8 o'clock this morning, but I would not be surprised we see further tornado warnings as the morning and afternoon wears on.
And even though we're well displaced from the center, that is a likelihood that we will see more active warnings, and that watch extended probably right along the east side, as long as the dynamics stay the way they are right now of where the center is forecast to pass. So certainly something we're going to have to keep our eyes on here. And this heavy rainfall now getting ready to come into Orlando. Heavy rainfall is going to move toward Leesburg and even further north and northeast now. And we'll have to watch some of these thunderstorms further south. Those are the ones that could potentially produce some severe weather. Through early this morning, watching that rain come in, the models got it just about on time, and then watch these embedded cells. These are the ones that may end up being rotating cells, aka these are the ones we may get the warnings on. And even through midday, we're not out of the woods yet. West of Orlando, even around the villages, some of these stronger storms will have the potential to briefly produce tornadoes, or at least tornado warnings. Nothing would really verify unless it was spotted. And it does look like we'll continue to see heavy rainfall too as a threat, 1 to 2 inches. Flash flood watches in effect. So it's probably because this rain may come down hard and over a brief period of time, so that's why we'll have that potential. Through early morning, most of the winds staying under tropical storm force. The villages, some 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Same thing for Orlando and Kissimmee. This is where we are seeing some of the stronger winds through midday. By the afternoon and this evening, quite breezy to windy at times, but most of the winds should start tapering off. On the west coast, this is where all the stronger storms looks like they will be as we head through the next couple of hours. Todd?
Yeah, so as far as right now, we still have those tornado warnings that are out there for Alachua County and also Marion County. Looking farther ahead, we have the Tropical Storm Elsa as far as the forecast fan. Remember, this could be the center of circulation will end up being somewhere along this fan. Could either be to the right or to the left. But the idea, though, is that as far as where the center of Elsa will go, remember, a lot of the impacts are off to the east. So places like Jacksonville, Orlando, over toward Tybee Island, St. Simon's Island, in Georgia. You may not be in the forecast fan, but that doesn't mean the impacts won't be there. In fact, if anything, you have a good possibility of seeing those embedded thunderstorms, the heavy rainfall, and maybe a few spin-up tornadoes. We're looking from Savannah in Georgia over to coastal South Carolina, and look at by the time we hit late this afternoon into the early evening hours, the showers and storms really begin to brew, and this is about the time we could see some severe storms come out of this. Heavy rainfall certainly possible by this time tomorrow as it pushes into South Carolina up toward North Carolina. We still have the gusty winds and maybe a little bit of that storm surge as well. More of the onshore push by the time we hit later Thursday morning. The rain may be done, but we still have some gusty winds behind this race. So it is going to be a multi-tiered event as far as the heavy rainfall, the tornado threat, as well as the possibility for some rising storm surge.
Well, there's been weather elsewhere, and in the northeast New England, strong winds did blow through New York City yesterday. There was a severe thunderstorm warning. This is a Greenpoint neighborhood in Brooklyn. Strong wind gusts battering trees in the area. The National Weather Service warned of winds of up to 60 miles per hour on Tuesday, and maybe Just maybe more severe weather in the forecast for today. So I know the focus has been on Elsa, but certainly looking at that chance of getting more strong storms. Kind of the darker shade of red, the better chance western parts of Pennsylvania, northeast Ohio, around Erie, and places like Cleveland and some of the eastern suburbs especially. Elsewhere from the Capital District down toward New York City and the 5 boroughs in Long Island, Hartford and Boston under that threat for severe storms. But it looks like right now, from what the model's trying to tell us, as we get in through the daytime hours, especially this afternoon, we'll get some heating on the atmosphere. Most of the storms should stay to the west of New York City, west of D.C. through 5 or 6 o'clock. And then as we get into the 6 to 9 o'clock time frame, getting into Bergen County in Jersey, getting into the 5 boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and points to the north, out into southeastern New York State. So as you get up into some of the northern suburbs and even around Worcester here in Massachusetts, some of these stronger storms expected to fill on in. There'll be a severe weather threat, flash flood threat with some of these storms as they roll and develop during the daytime hours today. Well, stay with the Weather Channel for continuing coverage as we track Elsa, live reports and expert analysis you won't get anywhere else all day long.
I'm David Collado, president and co-owner of Happy Howie's Dog Treats. We make all natural dog treats, and we're growing really fast. So fast, we were maxing out production. That's why I chose the Spark Cash Card from Capital One, because I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy. Last year, I redeemed $21,000 in cash back. Seriously, $21,000, which I use for new equipment so we can feed even more dogs. Thanks to my Spark Card, we're in over 4,000 stores across the country. What's in your wallet?
There's an America we build and one we discover. One that's been tamed and one that's forever wild. But freedom means you don't have to choose just one adventure. You get both. Introducing the wildly civilized, all-new 3-row Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
Pain hits fast, so get relief fast. Only Tylenol Rapid Release Gels have laser-drilled holes. They release medicine fast for fast pain relief. Tylenol Rapid Release Gels.
Single-serve Fancy Feast Petites are just for her. Just the right size, just the right gourmet flavor. No artificial preservatives or colors. Just what she needs. Just what you want. Fancy Feast Petites. Love is in the details.
Age is just a number, and mine's unlisted.
Try Boost High Protein with 20 grams of protein for muscle health versus 16 grams in Ensure High Protein. Boost High Protein also has key nutrients for immune support. Boost High Protein.
Don't settle. Start your day with Secret. Secret stops odor-causing sweat 3 times more, and the Pro Vitamin B5 formula is gentle on skin. With Secret, outlast anything. No sweat. Secret.
Straight, no sweat.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusties.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man, man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Papa John's Epic Stuffed Crust Pizza. Made from fresh, never frozen dough that's built for dunking and stuffed with cheese. Try Epic Stuffed Crust with 1 topping for just $12. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Well, we got a lot of rain and everything else that comes with Tropical Storm Elsa lashing the state of Florida. The dangerous storm unleashing that torrential downpour, gusty winds. We've had gusts as high as 59 miles per hour in Clearwater overnight. And now this storm is eyeing a morning landfall along that Big Bend, likely near Crystal River. That's where Dave Malkoff is going to join us live. As you can see him there, we will catch up with him in just a couple of minutes. Good morning and welcome into America's Morning Headquarters, where we continue our around-the-clock coverage of Tropical Storm Elsa. And we are continuing to watch this thing like a hawk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele, going to be with you here this morning and kind of give you guys an idea of what is to come as we anticipate this thing to move onshore later today. We cannot forget the threat it will make for the rest of the East Coast, too. So I know we've been focusing a lot of our energy on what's been going on in Florida, but we've got a lot more of you ahead that could be impacted by this storm. Let's go ahead and take a look at some video for some of you folks out on the water in St. Petersburg. You guys getting a front row seat to what Elsa's power unleashed just yesterday. Look at that. Can barely see out in front of you. Blowing rain, wind, making it hard to see most of the bridge there stretching over the waterway. So the storm surge warning that is in effect here right now, Elsa continues to lash this area with damaging winds and heavy rains. And we talked a lot about the storm surge potential. The larger the storm, you know, the direction that it's moving, the speed that it's moving, all of it, of course, impacts the storm surge potential. But, you know, currently, where we see this thing sitting, it is just south of Cedar Key, all right? And so Tampa has been seeing just a ton of rainfall and, of course, mentioned how we are still seeing a little bit of storm surge out there for folks all across the western side of Florida. So here's the look. It is now moving due north. So we've kind of seen it kind of take this bend, and eventually it's going to be transitioning to the northeast, and we're expecting it to make landfall around that Cedar Key area. Wind speeds, you know, as you can see, was sustained within that storm system itself, around 70 miles per hour. And we've seen some gusts of 70 miles per hour when this thing was down towards Key West just yesterday. You've had Sand Key, Florida at 64 miles per hour. Sarasota had a good gust there above 50. And that wind gust could definitely do some damage and knock down some trees, causing power outages. So tropical storm warnings, they are still up as anticipated. And we actually have more additional tropical storm warnings that have stretched through Georgia, the coastline of Georgia, up into the Carolinas, South Carolina specifically. North Carolina, you've got the watch right now, but that could technically transition to a warning if this thing holds its speed and strength as it works its way into your neck of the woods. So again, this isn't just a Florida thing. We've been talking a lot about that, how it's going to impact a good chunk of the eastern seaboard for the next couple of days. So here's a look at radar. Get on the other side of the screen here. You can see that basic, you know, comma-shaped cloud, the circulation around it. You can see the center of the storm is north and west of Tampa right now. South of Sarasota, I was looking at some rain gauges that picked up more than 6 inches of rainfall. And so there are pockets here that are just completely waterlogged. And remember, we have been in a very wet pattern here locally. And so there's going to be bigger flood concerns here as this tail end bring a ton of lightning to Fort Myers. A lot of the energy is just now knocking on the doorstep for you folks in the Jacksonville area. Most of you are on the drier side, but that will quickly change. So once again, past 48 hours, here's one of the higher pockets I was talking about where we had some of you receiving 4 to 6 plus inches of rain. We do have the tornado watch that's in effect. It's good that it's in effect because we have been seeing a few spin-ups here, and so we need to make sure we stay weather aware this morning and throughout the day today. So we do want to get it on over to Crystal River in Florida, because that is where Dave Malkoff joins us here this morning. And Dave, I guess give us the latest, what you experienced overnight and what you're seeing this morning.
Good morning, Jordan. We are having a lot of rain here, and this is about the most rain that we've seen so far. We are in Crystal River, which is just about 60 miles north of Tampa, and if the storm is 50 miles out of Crystal River, it's also 50 miles out of the northern areas here. And so those areas, they were just wondering if it's going to go north or if it's going to go more easterly, and if it does, it comes through Crystal River and Kings Bay, and this is Crystal River back here, and that dumps out into the Gulf, into the Crystal Bay out there. So it gives us a little bit of protection here, but as the storms come through, as we saw in Hurricane Hermine about 4 years ago, we saw that a lot of that storm surge does push up through the Crystal River into the bay, and that's what a lot of people were concerned about last night. So So a lot of businesses did shut down here in the late evening hours, and they are expected to shut down for the rest of the day here just to make sure that they're protecting a lot of the crab boats that they have out here and a lot of the fishing expeditions, and the people who come here from all over to see the manatees won't be able to do that tomorrow or today because of all this storm that's coming in this way. So it is a real threat of rising sea levels here and a lot of water pushing through for the storm surge. And they have experienced that in the past here, where they have many businesses here, Jordan, that have had water inside of them 1 or 2 feet as recently as 4 years ago because of the first landfalling hurricane since Wilma, and that was Hermine 4 years ago.
Well, yeah, and when we saw, Tropical Storm Elsa upgrade yesterday to a hurricane status, we were like, oh, okay, now we can talk about potential hurricane landfall, but it's still tropical storm status. We're thinking we're going to keep it there. Dave, I was looking, St. Pete, which is to your south, we had emergency crews there filling, I believe it was 23,000 sandbags yesterday to distribute to local residents. Are you seeing a lot of sandbags out and about there in Crystal River?
Yeah, there are a lot of businesses that have surrounded themselves with sandbags, and it depends on how low-lying you are. If you go out to the Gulf, to a beach that's all the way out at the Gulf, you will see that that's already been inundated with water. There are standing areas around here that have water in them. So just because of the rain that we've got so far, we're already seeing a little bit of that ponding on the street level. We're very low-lying here, but as you go even further into Kings Bay, you do have areas that are protected, so they've moved some of those boats, some of the crab boats from here all the way inside there, so they've got a little bit more protection, but still, that storm surge is going to push through.
Yep. Well, we're going to get caught up with you here in a little bit. Of course, we're all anticipating that first light to pop up over the horizon. Dave Malkoff, thank you so much for being there and for giving us live reports. All right, we have crews still stretched all across Florida. We'll catch in with a lot of them throughout the morning. I want to give you your rainfall forecast because we showed you what we've seen. I mean, just in a 12-hour period since, last night, once again, there's been a big bullseye south of Tampa and Sarasota where they just got absolutely crushed with 4 to 6+ inches of rainfall. With that being said, we still have a good chunk of rain to come for folks around Crystal River, Cedar Key, for you folks up just to the north. Even into Jacksonville, there's going to be pockets of 3 to 5 here. We have a pretty large flooding footprint, and I think with this storm system is really going to be, one of the things they're going to be remembered by is because of the amount of rain that it is bringing to a mostly saturated state because of the season we're in, and, that's going to extend far past the Sunshine State. So watching the projection of this, the slow movement of the system, again, moving north, I believe around 12 miles per hour. By midday today, it should be on land. The outer bands causing problems all the way down for folks maybe around Boca Raton still and parts of Miami with some isolated activity, but the majority of it heading north of the Florida-Georgia line tonight and into tomorrow. Flood concerns for Savannah, and then, of course, that'll continue its northward stretch as it stays on land but continues to spin and cause a lot of rainfall problems. So, again, we're going to see all of this really impact places outside of Florida the second half of the day today and into tomorrow. Now, Elsa's winds, they have been rolling in the Gulf of Mexico and Sarasota Bay specifically. We had a scene here at the John Ringling Causeway in Sarasota overnight. Elsa's core lurked 50 to 60 miles offshore. Elsa's winds are also pushing a 3 to 5 foot storm surge into Florida's west coast and, of course, the Big Bend. Look at the chop there. Woo. Not a day to get out on the water. We got to get through this system. Conditions will improve. So, that is, the glass half full approach, I guess, if we look forward to when this thing moves out of here. But let's talk wind and let's talk surge. Gave you an idea of the precipitation and the flood threat. Of course, we've had gusts as high as, 70 miles per hour, mostly seeing the wind gusts stay in that tropical storm category below 74 miles per hour. But still, you get a 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust on a very saturated soil with a big old tall tree, that could topple it over and cause power outages. So make sure you guys have everything prepared and charged as we work our way through the day today. Because as everything moves on shore, I think we're going to start to see, snowball of problems, especially going up into some of the other states. We'll keep a very breezy busy day for everybody south and east of the storm. So for the rest of the peninsula, the wind will improve. It will slowly calm down, but it's still going to be breezy nonetheless with wind speeds, 20 to 25 miles per hour, not out of the question for Orlando due south. Now, the storm surge is still a big threat, especially when we see that water pushing onshore for folks around Cedar Key. Obviously, we're feeling the impacts this morning in Tampa and some of these areas to the south, since the storm is basically sitting about here, and that southerly wind is now pushing that water onshore. So, still looking at that storm surge between 2 and 5 feet, depending on where you are. Basically, the entire, west coast here of Florida, from the Big Bend due south, just outside of Naples, has got the best wind surge potential of up to 5 feet. And that's above normally dry ground. You put your toes right on the water's edge, and boom, now you're talking about up to your shoulder's height with that water pushing on shore. So coastal flooding, obviously that's another big, potential for today. So, of course, the wind speeds, specific, especially if you're talking about coastal flooding and the storm surge specifically. But if you're outside of that, if you're in some of these interior zones, Augusta and Waycross and Savannah, it does look like the wind's really going to be impacting you tonight, second half of the day today into tomorrow as it pushes northward. And that's basically the idea on that one. So what I want to show you is on your screen right now. We're going to show you some live tower cams. A live look at 3 cities, okay? And all of you are going to feel Elsa's punch today. You got Orlando, right? You guys are under a tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning, even without the spin-ups. We're talking those winds that I showed you, and Elsa's squalls. They could gust 50 to 60 this morning. I think by the second half of the day, it'll improve for you folks around Orlando. Now, Elsa's heavy rain bands will expand into northern Florida, Jacksonville, as the morning progresses. You're just about to see the rain in Jacksonville if you haven't seen any so far this morning. Now, Savannah and the coast of Georgia and up into South Carolina, you guys should feel Elsa's impacts this afternoon. All right, and so it could be maybe a Wednesday evening into Thursday morning timing for you. So I want to get outside of Tampa and show you some of these either interior zones or areas to the north. Your forecast once again. Talking about the wind threat for folks basically north of the Florida-Georgia line, still going to be a problem. Even Raleigh is going to get into the wind coverage, all right? You got to remember the center of the storm itself, we talk about that's, we focus on that in the cone of where it's going to be. But remember, those tropical storm force winds can extend, roughly 70 miles from the center of the storm system. So that's why we have a good swath of power being felt for all these areas. Of course, Norfolk being on that eastern side of things, so you guys can really feel the wind as we head into, to overnight tonight and into tomorrow. I guess here's looking at your timestamp. We go all the way into Thursday evening now, and we're still getting cranked out in the Outer Banks with that southerly wind. So, I think as we move forward, for folks who haven't necessarily done any planning yet, you want to get your outdoor furniture, pull it into your home. Maybe a good idea is just to get up on the roof, make sure your gutters are clear, because we know a lot of rain is coming with that wind. Now, the headlines on Elsa and, of course, what we know right now, let's get to those. So here's what you guys need to know. We've got the Coast Guard that is searching for at least 9 people missing in the waters about 20 miles south of Key West. Tampa International Airport tentatively plans to resume operations at 10 o'clock this morning once a damage assessment is completed. Elsa's winds pausing search operations at a collapsed condo in Surfside, Florida for a time Tuesday, as another 8 bodies were pulled from the rubble there. And Georgia's governor has issued a state of emergency for 92 counties as Elsa approaches. So those are the big headlines. And of course, we still have several folks and a team of meteorologists and reporters out on the scene here, giving you guys firsthand experience of what Tropical Storm Elsa is like. And of course, Dave Malkoff is in Cedar Key, Florida. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. We've still got the storm well out to our south and west here in Cedar Key, which is protected by Kings Bay. A lot of people preparing for this storm. It could potentially make landfall around this area a little later this morning as a tropical storm. It has been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm again. So we are looking at the potential of not just a lot of rain, but a lot of wind and storm surge coming through here. So don't kind of think that since it's a tropical storm that it's not a threat. They have seen many of these come through this area and dump a ton of water on this area right here. Now let me just give you a look at where we are. This is the Crystal River that pushes out into the Gulf, and that is protecting us because we've got Kings Bay that kind of pushes into the interior of Florida here. but all that water does come up the river, and a lot of people are now moving their boats from this area in Crystal River into the interior of Kings Bay so they can protect themselves. But we've also seen the opposite of that. We've seen people having the obligatory hurricane parties here, and people even trying to ride this out on their houseboats where they stay, and that is their home. So they've docked for the night, and they are going to ride this out right here in Crystal River. We've got live team coverage right here on the Weather Channel, and we'll be back right after this.
There's an America we build and one we discover. One that's been tamed and one that's forever wild. But freedom means you don't have to choose just one adventure. You get both. Introducing the wildly civilized, all-new 3-row Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
The Subaru Crosstrek. Dog tested, dog approved.
Hey, I'm Jordan. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's new lemon kale Caesar salad is how the textures combine. The kale, the crispy breadcrumbs, all tied together with the warm grilled nuggets and the dressing and lemon juice. That's my favorite.
If there was a world championship for this, I'd be a sports legend. I'd be a household name. But there isn't. And I wouldn't do anything different if there was. Nutro. Feed clean.
At Novartis, our goal is to help keep Cosentyx accessible and affordable. If you're taking Cosentyx and your insurance or coverage changes, or you need help paying, Cosentyx Connect is here to help. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms if your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to. Serious allergic reactions may occur. Call us or visit us online. We're here for you.
Cracked windshield. Take one.
You say I got a crack in my windshield.
Elisa, maybe less heartbroken. Geico lets you file a claim online, over the phone, or with their app.
That makes me want to say, stay.
Are you crying?
No, there's pollen.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein.
Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and now with 2 new flavors.
Pesky leaks? Gorilla Waterproof Patch and Seal Spray, of course. Seals out water, air, and moisture, indoors and out. For the toughest jobs on planet Earth. Available in spray, liquid, and tape.
Jade makes people do crazy things.
It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Do you use Viagra or Cialis? Have you been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? What if we could promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for Viagra, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call us right now and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for Viagra. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in an unmarked package.
Call us right now, 800-340-9947, 800-340-9947. That's 800-340-9947.
All right, some new pictures into the Weather Channel this morning from Cedar Key as Tropical Storm Elsa's rain bands lashing Florida's Gulf Coast overnight. They just continue to move on to the north. They've made their way almost to the I-10 corridor this morning. The center of the storm is still south of Tampa, but the winds have been as high as 54 miles per hour, okay, in the Sarasota area. Those winds, by the way, heavy rain can intensify as the storm continues to move north. Obviously, if you're in the path of this, the worst is yet to come. Kind of interesting looking certainly at Tampa this morning with winds kind of out of the southeast. So I think that's helping you guys from dealing with a massive surge component, obviously, if the winds are out of the southwest. Cedar Key, by the way, you're offshore. You'll come on shore a little bit later on today as the storm pulls to your north. All right, so let's pull this north because it's exactly what's going to happen as we go on in time. It's going to come up into the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, hence the reason why we have 90-plus counties under a state of emergency there in the state of Georgia. And then it just continues to move on to the north and east across the mid-Atlantic and possibly the northeast. Now, we're going to keep the energy of this up to about 50 miles per hour. So even though it's a tropical storm and the winds are going to come down as we would typically expect with something that's coming onshore, the kind of winds and the kind of push down that you get from a tropical system can mean power outages and certainly trees down. We are fully leafed out now, obviously, so that's going to be an issue and it's going to play a role in this. What's taking it north? The same thing that brought it in. The subtropical ridge and the trough, which is positioned over the Great Lakes, and that's just going to help steer this thing right up through the path. It'll also help accelerate it a little bit. Kind of amazing. We started at 30 miles per hour, been down to 12 miles an hour, even lower than that at one point, and now it's going back up to 30 miles per hour probably by the time it ejects off of the New England coast. So deep tropical moisture also surging north. This is essentially a big rainmaker, guys, which is coming north through the mid-Atlantic region, up the I-95 corridor here as we work our way in toward Friday, and then out to sea as we welcome in high pressure and some drier weather for everybody by the time we roll in towards Saturday. So that'll be the good news in through here. How long it lasts is another thing, because we have another system on its heels with a trough of low pressure. But a lot of drought relief here. For anybody in Florida, obviously in New England, this is nothing but great news. We just don't all want it all at once. We're very dry across upstate New York and northern New England. So, even if we get 2, 3, 4 inches, this is just great news for New England. Remember last year, we were just kind of starting our drought. So winds kind of following this north too, models kind of poke it up a little bit here. Thursday, 8 p.m., 35, 40 miles an hour in New York. Certainly could gust to 50 miles per hour as well. Then, Jordan, we'll see things kind of getting a lot tamer for everybody once we roll into a Friday morning.
That's right. You know what? Let's not forget what's still going on outside of Elsa. Look at the San Antonio River, you guys. Jumping out of its banks. This is at the Back Ridge Park, of course, in San Antonio. This is parts of Bexar County. It was absolutely hammered with nearly a foot of rain. That was just over the last 24 hours. Again, outside of Elsa, the amount of rain coming down is causing huge flooding concerns. Leon Creek is overrunning I-35. It would halted traffic in San Antonio yesterday, and it went to crest at nearly 26 feet, which is the 4th highest crest on record. Think about that. You have I-35 corridor, major thoroughfare in the center part of the country that had to be shut down because of water streaming over the highway. I know this is part of Flash Flood Alley, and we just get an unbelievable amount of precipitation that falls in this entire area up through parts of Austin and even touching Waco and Dallas. But the bulk of the energy has been San Antonio, Houston, south. My goodness, and you still have a lot more rain to come. So this stationary front that's been pretty much sitting right overhead has kept storms and a lot of rain in Texas's forecast and the I-10 corridor across the Sabine River into New Orleans and even Pensacola. So notice the moisture content, and we take a look at water vapor imagery. Notice we have, drier air sitting in parts of the mid-levels in San Antonio. The problem is you're still going to be seeing some storms, that dry air not coming all the way down to the surface. And what I love to report is how we're getting rain way out in West Texas, El Paso, West Texas, but basically out in New Mexico, in an area that really needs drought help, and they've been getting some rain. So here's a look at the coastal communities around Texas. The Gulf Coast has been messy. Of course, this goes back all the way before 4th of July weekend when folks trying to get out and camp, and it's just been a soggy mess. Now, we have some lighter showers right here on the coast of Louisiana, and of course down here towards lower Alabama. But once again, the eye goes towards a lot of the energy, which is once again going to just circulate and impact some of these Gulf Coast communities and South Texas out towards Brownsville and in the Valley, where you guys could, pick up at least 3 to 5 more inches for some of you. Jim?
I wonder who gets the higher totals when we're all said and done, right? Jordan, that's going to be interesting to follow. All right, guys, we take you down, to Fort Myers Beach in Florida here. If you think about Elsa, even though the storm's to your northwest, we've got this rain band, which it goes all the way down toward Captiva and Bonita Springs and Punta Gorda here, and you can see a lot of the lightning that's going on with that. And there it is right there. I mean, look at that. Lit up like a Christmas tree. Probably the most prominent amount of lightning going on with the whole storm right down in here on this southern flank.
At Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. Every sub makes a difference, so we make our subs differently. Like our new Chicken Gyro sub with a pepperoncini tzatziki spread. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives.
Thousands of women with metastatic breast cancer are living in the moment and taking Ibrance. Ibrance with an aromatase inhibitor is for postmenopausal women or for men with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ibrance plus letrozole significantly delayed disease progression versus letrozole. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening chest pain, cough, or trouble breathing. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. For more information about side effects, talk to your doctor. Be in your moment. Ask your doctor about Ibrance.
With Allstate, drivers who switched saved over $700. Saving is easy when you're in good hands. Allstate. Click or call to switch today.
I'm Morgan, and there's more to me than HIV. More love, more adventure, more community. But with my HIV treatment, there's not more medicines in my pill. I talked to my doctor and switched to fewer medicines with Dovato.
Dovato is for some adults who are starting HIV-1 treatment or replacing their current HIV-1 regimen. With just 2 medicines in 1 pill, Dovato is as effective as a 3-drug regimen to help you reach and stay undetectable. Research shows people who take HIV treatment as prescribed and get to and stay undetectable can no longer transmit HIV through sex. Don't take Dovato if you're allergic to its ingredients or if you take Dofetilide. Taking Dovato with Dofetilide can cause serious or life-threatening side effects. Hepatitis B can become harder to treat while on Dovato. Don't stop Dovato without talking to your doctor, as your hepatitis B may worsen or become life-threatening. Serious or life-threatening side effects can occur, including allergic reactions, lactic acid buildup, and liver problems. If you have a rash and other symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop Dovato and get medical help right away. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, or if you are, may be, or plan to be pregnant. Dovato may harm your unborn baby. Use effective birth control while on Dovato. Do not breastfeed while taking Dovato. Most common side effects are headache, nausea, diarrhea, trouble sleeping, tiredness, and anxiety.
So much goes into who I am. HIV medicine is one part of it. Ask your doctor about Dovato. I did.
I just got my cashback match. Is this for real?
Yep. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically.
Woo, I got my money.
It's hard to contain yourself, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Well, let it go. Woo.
Get a $1 match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
It seemed like a normal day.
I got an alert on my phone, and then all hell broke loose.
Oh, it was complete chaos.
Go, go!
Mother Nature gives you a warning sign. Get ready for something big.
You just hang on for dear life and hope for the best.
Good morning and welcome back to the Weather Channel. We are just nearing 5:30 a.m. on the East Coast. My name's Dave Malkoff, and we are in Crystal River, Florida. That's just about 65 miles north of the Tampa Bay area, and we are tracking once hurricane and now tropical storm Elsa overnight that has been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's still very powerful, about 50 miles out just about that way. This is the Crystal River, which pushes into Kings Bay. And what happens is when these storms push through this way, you do have a little bit of protection because of the bay and the river and the nature of being inland somewhat. But the bay, it is right over my shoulder, and that dumps right into the Gulf of Mexico, and that is where the storm is. So a lot of people have a lot of experience with storms coming through here. Is it going to push through Crystal River, or is it going to go north of here? That is still to be seen. And if it does go north of here, we'll still get a lot of the bands coming through here. So don't just look at the center of circulation. Look at the entirety of the storm. We have potential for not just rainfall and storm surge, but also for EF0 and EF1 tornadoes that are spinning up because of these hurricanes that come through here and tropical storms. So right now we're at tropical storm status, Jordan, and we're just sitting and waiting here in Kings Bay.
You know, if we can keep conditions like that for you guys, I mean, that's best case scenario. You can keep the light to moderate rain, have it push off to your west, but yeah, you always got to prepare for the isolated spin-ups, like you said, Dave, and of course for conditions to deteriorate. Let's kind of give you guys the nuts and bolts right now of what we're looking at when we talk about Elsa, when we showcase. Of course, Dave is sitting south of Cedar Key here, and he's kind of in between the yellow rain bands. You know, he's in that light green color, and so that's why it's kind of calm right now. But you get, I mean, you take about this outer band. Fort Myers isn't anywhere near the center, and they're getting rocked this morning. So it all depends on where you are. And, of course, that storm is going to lift north. It does look like it's going to be impacting Cedar Key more likely than places around Crystal River. But we do have to keep an eye on the potential push of some, of a potential storm surge. I believe the hurricane warning, is that right? It's been downgraded. It's actually a tropical storm warning currently set up. Oh, okay. My apologies. It is actually still there for the coastal communities. The warning is going to be for the interior zones, Tampa right there on your coast. And, of course, this does stretch beyond Florida into the coastal communities of Georgia, South Carolina, and maybe upcoming North Carolina, depending on the strength. So we'll watch the wind speeds. You know, this morning it's at 65 miles per hour. Could it downgrade to 60 as soon as it makes landfall? That's the forecast. And then by the time we head to tomorrow morning, we're now at 45 mile per hour winds. And of course, by the time we see it move into the Carolinas, we'll have to see how much strength is left over. You know, most of the models are keeping this thing tightly wound, which will just continue to create more of this for those zones north of Florida, all right? And those isolated spin-ups are key. We've already had a ton overnight last night, a couple of isolated tornadoes and tornado warnings, radar indicated, and that could happen again if you just take a look at the tornado watch. We're all in this, in the center part of the peninsula here in Florida, and these watches will likely move with the storm system themselves. So once again, talking about this outer band impacting Fort Myers, well away from the center of the storm system here, and we have a ton of lightning. Looking at some of the wind gusts, not terrible, 25 miles per hour or so. But again, it's the rain and it's the lightning, cloud to ground. Of course, other locations such as Tampa to the east near Lake Wales got a lot of rain for you guys as well. All right, let's get it back over to Jim. Talk about some of those areas, maybe outside of Florida, more like Georgia. What are we looking like on the coast?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big rainmaker coming north.
Yeah.
No question about it. And it's kind of interesting watching Cedar Key with light winds offshore. When those winds shift onshore, here comes the water. So just keep that in mind. That's a very low area down there, and don't be out when that wind shifts and allows the water to come in, because it's going to come in faster than I promise you will anticipate. So again, we'll watch that heavy rain swath come up across the coastal bend and through here and right into southern Georgia, 2, 3, 4 inches. Here's the storm again. Once it moves north of Cedar Key, that's when we get the southwest component of the wind in there, and that's when you start to see that big push of water. So you got Cedar Key, you got Horseshoe Beach, just to the north of that. Over the interior, notice these bands. That doesn't mean that the rest of Florida is out of the woods. We could have tornadoes in here, okay? We'll see what happens with those. Certainly we'll watch those bands. And also heavy rain. It's just going to be training over the same areas near Orlando, Tampa. That's a very busy corridor, right? That's the I-4 corridor. Here's Melbourne on the eastern side of that, and we'll watch this come right up, again, I-75, and then eventually into southeast Georgia as we work our way into late this afternoon and this evening. So here's a quick look at it, just kind of going into motion here before all is said and done. Guys, and just a reminder for you, just watch the Weather Channel's live coverage of Elsa streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire if you can't be by your TV set. We take a live look at Tampa. Our live coverage continuing this morning.
Hey, I'm Holly, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's new lemon kale Caesar salad is the lemon Caesar vinaigrette. It's light, sweet, and citrusy. When it comes together, it's like the perfect balance. It's one of my favorite tastes of all time.
We have to be able to repair the enamel on a daily basis. With Pro Enamel Repair Toothpaste, we can help actively repair enamel in its weakened state. It's innovative. My go-to toothpaste is going to be Pro Enamel Repair.
Discover card. I just got my cashback match. Is this for real? Yep. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically.
Woo, I got my money.
It's hard to contain yourself, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Well, let it go. Woo.
Get a dollar for dollar match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
It looked bigger online. Someday, we'll find the right trip.
Seize your Sunday today with Travelocity.
Get the right information so you can book confidently.
Does anyone snore? I brought my earplugs just in case. Travelocity. Seize your Sunday.
Return to rugged. The all-new, ruggedly redesigned 2022 Nissan Pathfinder.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusty.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man, man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Good morning.
More treatment.
We're going to try something different today.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Dogs bring out the good in us. Pedigree brings out the good in them.
I wanted my hepatitis C gone.
I put off treating mine.
Epclusa treats all main types of chronic hep C. Whatever your type, Epclusa could be your kind of cure.
I just found out about mine.
I knew for years.
Epclusa has a 98% overall cure rate.
I had no symptoms of hepatitis C.
Mine caused liver damage.
Epclusa is only one pill, once a day, taken with or without food for 12 weeks. Before starting Epclusa, your doctor will test if you have had hepatitis B, which may flare up and could cause serious liver problems during and after treatment. Tell your doctor if you have had hepatitis B, other liver or kidney problems, HIV or other medical conditions, and all medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Epclusa may cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects include headache and tiredness. Ask your doctor today if Epclusa is your kind of cure.
Around here, they say if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute.
Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
All right, guys, let's take you to Treasure Island, which was no treasure here on the west coast of Florida, taking a beating from Elsa's bands on Tuesday. And this is, of course, a view from high above the water. You can see the thick clouds settling in over the popular tourist spot in Pinellas County. Elsa blowing in with some strong winds over the water here, dumping plenty of rain, and those conditions could worsen over the coming hours, certainly as we track Tropical Storm Elsa's impacts along the Gulf Coast. Now, the deal for Treasure Island is the storm moving north, we're kind of in between bands. And that's what we'll be watching today, is where do those rain bands set up. We will also watch the storm surge component, because that is not over yet either. So let's talk a little bit about that as we look at the water rises, of course, on the right side of the storm and through here, all right? Guys, the headlines on Elsa, though, before we get to the storm surge here, what we know at this very hour, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expanding his state of emergency declaration to include a total of 33 counties as state, local, and utility resources continue with their preparations there. The Florida National Guard has activated 60 guardsmen to serve at the State Emergency Operations Center and Logistics Phoenix Readiness Center. I believe that's in Tallahassee. It is prepared to activate additional personnel if needed. Duke Energy has staged 3,000 utility crew members, contractors, tree specialists, and other personnel from Pinellas County into North Florida, anticipating, obviously, power outages here. Additional line workers support also have been brought in from the Carolinas, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. Man, these guys are like a well-oiled machine here. Also, the University of Florida in Gainesville has canceled classes today in anticipation of the storm and its rain bans. All right, now onto the wind surge. As promised earlier, Cedar Key is still offshore. So we don't have a surge component there. Sometimes if the winds are strong enough, you will see a negative in front of that number. Okay, we don't have strong winds, so we're not pushing the water out. We're not seeing a water drop. But what's going to happen is once the storm goes to the north, those winds will come onshore in Cedar Key. It's unavoidable. All right, so we're going to get a push of water into that area. And, of course, the main road that goes around the front of Cedar Key there is probably going to be taking on a little bit of water as we go on in time. So right now, again, 17 miles an hour from the east, gusts to 23 miles an hour. Even Tampa has a southwest component here. The only water rises are down to the south of Tampa, down toward Fort Myers. But that's going to change as we work our way in time. So the center goes north, right? This gives the speed. It doesn't give the direction. We'll come on shore this afternoon. The winds will also lighten a little bit. So it's just going to be kind of this little push of water, and then things should even out just a little bit. And that's why we have the storm surge watches and warnings, obviously, here. Watches go west of the Osceola River here, mainly if the storm doesn't come ashore. If it goes ashore, we'll stay offshore up and through here, so they'll decide what they want to do with that. But it looks like it's going to come ashore just east of that watch area. Here's Lake City, 30 to 35 miles per hour. Waycross, 20 to 25, so we just go on in time. You can see the core of the wind field, and that's the other thing, too. In the rain bands and in the heaviest rain in the convection, that's where the strongest winds will be once this thing moves on shore. The storm starts to unravel and collapse a little bit. Where's the center? They got the center way up here, just north of Augusta. That's Thursday, 8 a.m. Wind core, though, still the strongest coming off the water. And there'll be a little water rise, too. There'll be a little push of water that comes on shore for Cape Hatteras, for Myrtle Beach, for Wilmington and Hatteras as well. So stay out of the water. You can watch that wind core. Here we are, 5 a.m. on Thursday, coming up into the Outer Banks. Nasty afternoon and evening on Thursday for you, and then eventually up the Jersey Shore and up into New England as well, where some of these gusts could get a little frisky with this storm as it starts to take on the mid-latitude jet stream. That's the thing, Jordan. You know, these things don't just go away, unfortunately. They start grabbing a little energy from the mid-latitude jet stream, and they can produce damaging winds.
Right.
We saw that with Isaias last year.
Which means we got a couple more days hanging out with Elsa. All right, we got to show you some more video as Elsa, approaching the west coast of Florida. Originally, it brought those heavy rain and wind, the rain bands and the wind gusts to places like Longboat Key. You guys had the palm trees there on the left doing their little dance and a little shimmy in the breeze. Tallahassee, Jacksonville bracing for impacts. You got a wind advisory going into effect in Jacksonville at 10 o'clock this morning. You know, the National Weather Service is warning residents in northeast Florida that evacuations and water rescues can maybe be possible because of the flood concern there. So we are going to unleash a lot of rain around Jacksonville, even though the storm is well to your west, okay, because of the trajectory of it. Let's focus on Tampa for a moment. I know we've been giving you guys a lot of coverage because of the storm surge potential, because of all the rain. The heaviest rain thus far has been south of Sarasota, all right? Looking at rain totals 4 to 6 plus inches down there, and you still have some bands that we're going to be dealing with as the storm lifts northward. So, we go into your midday time frame and we're bringing in some showers and storms back into the Tampa area, St. Petersburg, up into Spring Hill. This isn't going away. You might find a little lull or a gap in a drier time frame, but you'll still have the breeze out there for sure as the storm's vicinity is still somewhat nearby. Okay, now let's look at Tallahassee and Jacksonville and see how this really impacts us, because Jacksonville's mostly dry this morning, but that is quickly about to change. We go into a couple hours and the rain's going to turn on. Heaviest bands are not going to push through, though, until you see the core moving on shore. So once that happens, then Jacksonville's really going to get hit hard, and that's going to be the second half of the day today. Notice it doesn't turn off, and of course the wind is obviously coming with it as the storm is pushing into that direction. But we are anticipating several inches up here in Jacksonville, Jim. Probably, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what I expect to see. 2 to 4 inches with isolated spots higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, at 2.39 yesterday, okay, at Fort Myers, which was a record for the day. Thank you, Jillian, for that little tidbit right there. We had quite a light show here a little bit earlier on. Guys, stay with the Weather Channel. Continue to cover coverage as we watch Elsa come ashore later on toward the midday here. Live reports and expert analysis you won't get anywhere else all day long. Absolutely pumping right now at Captiva.
Hi, Verizon launched the first 5G network, and now we want to be the first to give everyone the joy of 5G by giving every customer a new 5G phone on us. Old customers, new customers, families, businesses, in-laws, law firms. Every customer, new 5G phones when you trade in your old ones. And if you're not a customer, we'll help cover the cost to switch. Just ask Wanda. She's been with us since now. Upgrade your phone, upgrade your network.
Hey, my name is Jonelle, and a little thing that I love about Chick-fil-A's new Lemon Kale Caesar salad is every tender piece of grilled chicken on top of that salad. It'll make you want to sing, Lemon Kale Caesar. I'm blushing.
The Subaru Crosstrek. Dog tested, dog approved.
Make this the summer you taught them what it means to serve. The summer of hauling happiness by the ton and bringing home hardware by the handful, where traditions were passed down on the tailgate. And the only thing more powerful than the feeling was the truck that took you to it. Make this the summer of Ram.
Now get $3,550 in total values, plus finance and get no monthly payments for 90 days on the 2021 Ram 1500.
Joint pain, swelling, tenderness.
My psoriasis. Cosentix works on all of this.
Cosentix can help you look and feel better by treating the multiple symptoms of psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to, serious allergic reactions may occur.
Watch me.
Get real relief with Cosentix.
Is your wireless service charging you more and giving you less? It's time for Spectrum Mobile.
So I can get more for less?
Yeah. In fact, most customers who switch save up to 40% on their wireless bill. Get unlimited talk and text with the fastest overall speeds and the most reliable coast-to-coast coverage. Switch to Spectrum Mobile with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004.
How many lines do I have to get for those savings?
It's up to you. With Spectrum Mobile, you get the best price on every line. Plus, mix and match data plans to meet your needs. Guess it's no wonder millions of customers have already switched. Get Spectrum Mobile with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004.
So what's the catch? I bet it's fees.
No, with Spectrum Mobile, there are no hidden fees, no added taxes, and no contracts. Don't wait. Switching is easy.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Nice.
Get Spectrum Mobile today with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004 or visit a Spectrum store near you.
Even as the world opens back up, some social distancing is still highly recommended. Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
Good morning, I'm Dave Malkoff here in the path
of what is now Tropical Storm Elsa. If you are just waking up, that's where it has dropped down to, but it's still a powerful storm. Just talking to Bill Hoskins here out on the dock here in Crystal River, and you run these manatee tour boats.
Yeah, I work for this company. I maintain everything for them.
So what is your concern right now with this storm coming in?
Well, to make sure the boats are okay.
Yeah, and you've tied them up here.
Yeah, we tied them up last night. We got 3 different docks. We got this dock, we got one at Birds that's got 3 boats in it, and we got one down at Pete that's got a boat in it. So I'm making my rounds, all of them.
So tell me about 4 years ago, you had Hurricane Hermine come through here, and did you have a lot of damage from that at all?
Yeah, we had a building up here that we were leasing.
Yeah.
We took it out completely. It was gone. They had about 4 foot of water inside.
Oh, wow. And the building actually went away.
No, it was the water inside.
Oh, the water inside damaged the building, and then you had to cut it down to the studs.
It all belonged to the city. We leased from the city.
Oh, wow. This could be a devastating storm if it comes up through this way, and they're thinking, will it go up to Cedar Key or will it come to Crystal River?
We're watching pretty close on that.
And what is your main concern with these boats right here? Do you think they're tied down well enough?
Well, I want to make sure that they are tied down, that the dock is still floating good. High water like this, you could take those poles out. If you take the poles out, then the boats go out.
And does it have any impact to the manatees here? We know that this is home of the manatee right here.
No, we won't really have a big problem. They're smart enough to know they're going to go someplace that's going to be safe.
So they can go into Kings Bay and they can protect themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So well, thank you so much, Bill. Thanks for talking to us here this morning. I'll let him get back inside and to the relative calm of his house right over there. But we're still outside. We are waiting for landfall. If you're looking for where the storm is, it's about 50 miles southwest of where I'm standing right now, Jordan.
Well, Dave, I'm not looking at radar specifically, but Jim was just telling me that you're about to get hit with some pretty good rainfall. It is on the way with one of those heavier bands. So get ready for that as we take you guys and give you an outlook. I know, you're like, bring it on. Give you guys an outlook of what is expected north of where Dave is. Let's talk about the mid-Atlantic regions. And we know the storm system is going to pick up some speed, cruising speed. The speed within the center of the storm system, however, is going to be downgrading. As you can see, as soon as today, this evening, we'll have it go from 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds that we're seeing this morning down to 60 once it moves on shore, dropping to 45 by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow evening, potentially forecast is calling it for to drop to 40, seeing when it can maybe change over to that depression status. But as you can see, I mean, we're talking well ahead of this. Places like Jersey, New York could maybe see impacts from some of this out towards Long Island, and of course in the coastal communities of Maine as well. So once again, that steering mechanism is key. That high pressure ridge, we've been watching, how that has basically taken our storm and moved it and flowing around that high pressure ridge, right? And so that has been very important to see how strong that Bermuda high is, whether it pushed it farther to the west or, of course, had it come into the east. And, of course, as we take a look at where it is right now, I'm just looking at where it's potentially going to make landfall. And could we be looking at it, kind of a best case scenario because of the population of, those areas in the Big Bend? The problem is how many other people are going to be impacted on the outside of this as this storm pushes up to the north. So for folks in the mid-Atlantic, into the northeast, you're thinking, well, the weather hasn't been, all that bad for folks, let's say around Norfolk and Greensboro, and you've had some nice days. I know we had some stormy weather up in New England just yesterday, but if you've been enjoying, your patio cocktails in the afternoon, just know that could definitely be changing this week as you look at the timestamp here and how many people it does impact up the I-95 corridor. So we'll be talking about Elsa through the week. By the time we get into the weekend, Jim, finally this thing is out of here.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be ready, including yours truly here for this thing to be done. All right, so yesterday, a pretty active day in the Northeast. Especially with storms here. Storms sweeping through, heavy wind, tiles, tossed them on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Uh-oh. That's not a good thing, right? Heavy rain and wind, of course, blasting Brooklyn as trees sway side to side and ominous clouds loom overhead. And over the river into New Jersey, streets soaked as cars splash through the intersections there, sending spray into the air. Winds gusting to almost 60 miles an hour in Midtown Manhattan and 60 in Queens. Over 80,000 customers in the Northeast remain without power this morning. New Jersey hit the hardest. Pennsylvania, New York. Look at Michigan, and there's certainly no slouch there. Second in place here, if you will, at 26.5 thousand. By the way, the biggest outages in Florida are Hillsborough County right now, which is the Tampa area, and then Polk County over toward Winter Haven. They're 5,000 plus, so they make up the bulk of the outages. Wind damage yesterday. You can see the local storm reports in through here. The front hadn't gone anywhere. All right, so we're once again dealing with this front, upper level flow from the southwest, so damaging wind threat. Once again, a possibility today. You can see the flow here from west to east, so that means it's paralleling the surface front and through here. So we'll see the storms fire up. This morning, raining La Crosse all the way up in Toronto, Buffalo in through here, a few showers. Most of this area just destabilizing, okay? So we're going to see these storms fire as we get into this afternoon. Wind damage will be the #1 threat. Could be some delays in Detroit, Cleveland, or Buffalo.